the wax on Jim Beam bottles, man. Or
it's all about the wax. Hey guys, on Facebook Live. Jake just got a wax job.
No, what we mean is we're talking about the wax on the new Bookers. Well,
as you shake it around.
Second to latest Bookers, right? So
right.
2018, batch 3.
Now we are sharing it.
Okay.
David Willard, Liz is on.
Hello, everyone.
Cork Pop.
Yes. So we're getting started. Tonight's subject is going to be 'Tis the Season, as you can tell by my hat. And and it's Dustin's birthday, so it's pretty cool to have
one cares.
Back on. And tonight we are gonna have a good time. As always.
Speak for yourself.
I am.
It's the season. Facebook.
I hope they do too. So please please share this so we can grow this thing as we are trying to grow it, and we're excited to have everyone join. Tell a friend, please.
Many friends.
And we'll get started on the audio.
I'm gonna lose it on this iPad.
As Steve's sharing our.
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
And then when Steve's talking, I'll start sharing it too. So that's how that.
What's everyone drinking tonight?
Out.
What's everyone drinking and smoking tonight? I know it's cold out, so hopefully you guys
not
are
as cold
somewhere.
as it has been.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer.
Cool. You want me to open the garage door?
No.
No, that's all right. We're good.
We didn't when it was really hot.
All right.
But we thank you for tuning in, everyone, and we're excited to celebrate Dustin's birthday with him.
Yeah.
And he's the one that brought the Bookers tonight.
Yeah, it's my birthday, my gift.
Yes, thank you for bringing it.
Perfect.
We're going to be smoking the Avo Classic, which I have not had, and then our cigar provided by Altadis USA is going to be the Onyx. We've had that once before, but we'll definitely talk about it again for those that...
We have had it?
Yeah.
When?
Probably 3 or 4 episodes ago.
Cool. We need more Altadis products.
Yes. More swag, too. I'd like another t-shirt.
Yeah.
Hats.
It's fair.
I'd like a t-shirt.
Sweatshirts would be very nice.
Yeah, sweatshirts are always great.
Yeah. You ready, Steve?
No.
You are.
I've got a lot of sharing to do.
Damn, man.
You can't do it beforehand. That's the problem with it all, is that you have to do it as it starts. So.
Piece by piece.
Yeah.
Dustin's getting a lot of birthday shout-outs from the Sanders family.
Good.
And my mom.
Nice.
Your mom.
And then Kathy's sister says, "Happy birthday, Mr. President."
Is that you or Frank Sinatra?
We'll go with Frank. We'll go with Frank.
It is Frank Sinatra's birthday.
And Bob Barker.
Wow.
And Bob Barker.
And Mike Golick, for all the sports fans out there.
Wow.
All right.
Well, it is Kentucky Chew.
I was going to say, is that chew?
Yeah. It's literally Kentucky Chew.
All right, let's go.
So for the audio,
Yeah.
That's just Jake chewing on the whistle.
Sorry, guys. I know this is a very slow start, but we're going to get...
You got some work. We've got 15 people on board so far.
Yeah, I just want them to be very...
It's great. Great to see everyone out there that we can't see.
I want them to be entertained. We can see.
It's your hat. No.
We can see their
You
comments.
see their name, yeah. Like the hat, Jake.
Thank you.
Love, Mom.
Thank you, Mom.
You
ready?
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
sure, let's go.
Okay. There it is. Hello, everyone, and happy Whiskey Wednesday. I'm Jake Sanders, along with Steve Crane, and we make up the Bourbon and BS podcast. This is episode 45. We're accompanied by our good friend Dustin Bovey. He's helped us quite a bit, just from behind the scenes, and he answers a lot of questions.
Been on once or twice.
Our guest knows him as. Thank you, Dustin, for being here, and happy birthday.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Big birthday.
31?
It is.
31?
Yes.
Nice. Congratulations. We're happy to have you on, and it's going to be a good podcast tonight. It always is, but for our viewers and for our listeners, viewers can see us, but I'm wearing a Santa hat because I'm trying to be festive, bring a little light into the garage.
Sweet.
And because tonight's subject is 'Tis the Season to be merry, and we're getting close to Christmas and the holiday season, so it's pretty awesome. I mean, the shop's been pretty busy, right, Steve?
It's starting to pick up. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of still the quiet before the storm. we've had some good days, but overall it's kind of more gift shopping, and then at night it's not quite there yet. So by this next weekend, it'll be all hands on deck, and we'll be doing really well, I think. So that's the way it typically goes.
For those that don't know, the last 2 weeks before Christmas and the Tinder Box at Easton are absolutely insane because that's when everybody's last minute shopping. And most of the time, the customers don't know what they're shopping for, but they know who they're shopping for.
That's right.
What are they like? I don't know.
I don't know.
No, it's
exactly
good. I mean,
it's great.
Yeah, it's actually an intimidating. We've talked about it on the show before, as far as like going into a bourbon aisle or a walk-in humidor.
Yeah.
People that are shopping that don't know much about the products they're doing or they're looking for, that's tough.
No. It's like walking into a new world.
Well, yeah, it's just something that, you don't have much knowledge on, so you don't know what you're looking at. It's all just basically labels and the names and everything else. You don't really have any basis on any information. So that's where,
sure.
We do something at the Tinder Box where you can't get into the walk-in humidor. It's all, you have to be helped out, and I think it really does assist on the product knowledge for people and getting more comfortable with it. So
it allows us to be more personable too, though.
Yeah.
And I think it gives a better representation of the shop too.
right.
So, it gets the word out because a lot of people don't greet, visitors or customers.
No, that's absolutely right, because it's something that, this day and age, retail's starting to come back. I think manners and all that stuff's starting to come back, but overall, well, so, all right, I'm not going to get into a political thing, but it's like the whole snowflake bullshit and all that. It's like people don't want to be talked to, they don't want to be, they don't talk to me, don't help me, all that stuff. But then it's starting, I think, to come back a bit where, some of the sensitivity is rightfully so as far as being there, but some of it was just, I think, getting out of hand. And I think when it comes to this, when you're actually needing a hand from someone, it's okay to get that and accept it and ask for help. We talked about that. So something as simple as retail, that's something that, you go into most retail stores anymore, it's like basically you have to navigate through the signs, through the aisles, and you have to basically, if you want to try on shoes, you have to basically find your shoe size, sit down, make sure it's the shoe size that you think is right, but you haven't been measured in years, so you're just basically walking around in uncomfortable shoes because no one can give you the time of day.
Or you're walking around the shoe box and you're looking for somebody to help you.
Yeah, there's no one there.
Yeah.
Or a shoe, looking for someone else to find the shoe box with the rest of the shoes.
Right.
Yeah.
So if this is your first time listening, we would like for you guys to please tell a friend and please give us a 5-star review and leave us a comment, a good review on this, share it please. And that's how we're growing this thing. We're getting to that point where we're seeing it grow. We're getting around that 2,000 viewers mark on our Facebook Live, and pretty constant every week. Consistently.
Anywhere between 1,500 and like 2,200. So
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a great thing. So anyone watching right now, that's what we want is that if you're listening on the podcast, it's share it, like it. Tell people about it, tell a friend, at least one person, and that's the way that it grows if you're getting something out of it. I think it's pretty simple to do that on anything. So we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on Facebook. We've got an Instagram page. We've got all these avenues that you can go down if you want to listen to it or share it.
And the reason why we do that is so you don't have an excuse not to listen.
Right.
So before we get started, though, we do like to thank our sponsors every week. So thank you, Tinder Box at Easton, for providing the Avo Classic tonight, and thank you for the Altadis USA for providing the Onyx tonight as well.
Yeah, and the support.
And the support, and you guys are always showing us love out there. And thank you, BS Cigar Company.
Yeah.
Brian and Steve, it's awesome, and they're great cigars. And for our listeners and viewers, you should definitely come to the Tinder Box and try one.
Or if you want to get a hold of us, we do ship. We have had some luck with that recently from the podcast, even that, there's been some talk about it on the show as a sponsor, all that stuff. So we've made a couple shipments on that. So we are able to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not worth it to ship one cigar because the standard shipping is about $13. But if you do like 5, 10, or you do like 10 and 10 between the gold and silver, I think that's something that is definitely worthwhile. It's $13 when it's all said and done. It's not that bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sure.
You want to get into the whiskey?
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet.
Okay. Well, I'll tell the backstory. Or you want to tell it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you, Dustin, for bringing the third installment of Booker's small batch Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Is of this year.
That chew in your mouth?
Do we have to say it like that? I mean,
it is the name.
I mean, it is the Kentucky Chew.
Yeah.
Goddamn, that does linger.
So for those that don't know,
that just like builds.
So for those that don't know, we've had all Bookers up until now, or well, this is the third installment, like I said. So we've had all the Bookers. There is a fourth out there, and we should do it, but we're probably not going to get to it before the end of the year. They have made 4 this year, and they also just released the Booker's 30th, and I don't know much about that, but it'd be nice to try, but it's about $200 a bottle. Anyways, so Booker's Bourbon, the reason why that's the reason why Dustin said chew, you get that Kentucky Chew, is because if you don't know, they always give these a name. It's either to, pay tribute to Booker No himself, or something that he loved, or someone that was very, they dived into like Jim Beam, and they were, a big part of Jim Beam Distillery. And so the Kentucky Chew is named after how Booker No used to chew his whiskey, air parentheses or air quotes. And the reason
they heard that.
Yeah. Anyways, the reason why they called that is because to get a good Kentucky Chew, Booker would take a sip and work it around his mouth and then smack his lips a few times in a way that it appeared like he was chewing it. The reason why he did this was because Booker No thought that this was the best way on how to get that full essence of tasting bourbon.
By smacking your lips together.
Well, he said that it filled his entire mouth instead of just his tongue, so he was able to get the whole experience.
So what did that look like?
I don't know. I'm not doing that for you. You want to do that at your birthday?
Nah, I really don't. I want you to do it for my birthday.
I don't think it would be very attractive to look at. I feel like it'd be annoying.
I hate you.
Did he do that every time?
I don't know. He's dead, Steve.
I mean, no. Everyone's got their different techniques on how they like to taste things. Like you've got your nose in your glass right now, which is, I guess, more common. But it's like, when people like chew gum with their mouth open, it's
annoying.
Yeah.
Chewing with your mouth open. Yeah. I mean, I guess from the whiskey standpoint, after you swallow it, you could do that, and it might pick up different notes from it. I mean, I could see that. It'd be no different than, swirling it around in your glass, in a sense.
Have you ever taken, like, a sip of whiskey and, like, tried to do it almost like scope, where you just, like, I did that one time with, like, a high proof whiskey, and that was not a fun experience.
No?
You mean like a mouthwash?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I feel like that would end very badly. Your mouth would kind of be on fire.
But I feel like that's how they're describing this, though.
I feel like your mouth would be clean.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's alcohol.
Yeah.
So you want to know a little bit more about the fine tunings of this bourbon?
Yes, Jake. I would love to know more about
I
this.
know you're enthusiastic about it, Steve.
Fine-tuning.
You always are. And so...
How many different barrels are there?
There are 7 different barrels within this batch of the Kentucky Chew. I don't know how many bottles it yielded. But so it's got... I believe it's got 2 barrels from the 4th floor in the 9th story of Warehouse D and J. It's got 1 from the 4th floor, 2 from the 7th, 1 from the 6th, and 1 from the 5th. Most of them, here's what I think is interesting. Most of where Booker's bourbon comes from in the warehouses is the 9th story. Isn't it interesting? It doesn't matter what warehouse. It doesn't matter what warehouse it is. It mostly comes from the 9th story. There is one, however, that there's a 5% came from the 5th floor of the 7th story of Warehouse Inn. So there is one. That's still high up, but yeah, it's interesting.
It's kind of cool how you can find a blend of 6 different barrels, and they're each different percentages on that card.
Yeah.
Is this trial and error type thing? I mean, is that what we're doing?
I feel like I think that's what they, as far as when it comes to blending it with a small batch, that's how
I'd
they
love
do
to be
it.
a part of the process, man. I bet
It
it
would
takes
be so
forever.
intriguing. And I guess, for anyone who's not had a Booker's product, because we've had 3 on here so far, this is the 3rd one.
Yeah.
It comes with a little card in each box.
Yes.
Right.
which gives you exactly the breakdown of what floor, what barrel, etc., the story behind it, the whole 9 yards, which I think is really cool because a lot of bottles don't come with any of that.
Yeah, exactly. And then they cut, the box that comes with like a almost like cedar wooden box, customized with bookers, like etched into it, glass and everything. It's a really nice presentation. I mean, we talked about branding last week. I mean, look at that. It's.
I think they went all out. I mean, yeah.
It's something that really stands out, even if you weren't a whiskey person. But if you're not careful and you don't drink whiskey a lot, I would not suggest getting a Booker's for your first bourbon.
Do it. It's good. It's just got heat, I think.
Is it 128 proof like the OR? I can't always remember.
126.7.
Oh, so this
126.7.
This is a little lower. Kathleen's was 127, and the second
backyard was 128.8.
Yeah, so that one was definitely not. But definitely off the notes, right off the rip, I did add a little bit of water in mine, and I suggest that to anybody that gets a Booker's. But, sip it, try it if you like it. I know it's going to be hot, unless it's like the Kathleen's batch that we loved. But it's definitely got a lot of brown sugar. It's definitely got a lot of brown sugar, a lot of vanilla notes, a lot of caramel.
A lot of sweetness.
Just deep, rich notes, and that's coming from the fact that it is at barrel strength, and that it's coming up from those high ricks, so it's getting all that heat that's up at the top of the rick houses over the years. Mm-hmm. The average age of these were around 6 to 7 years old in these barrels. One thing that I did find interesting is that this is the exact same mash bill that we had in the repeal batch.
Really?
We're kind of on this Jim Beam kick right now on the podcast, but this is the same mash bill that they have in the white label in the repeal batch, and it's interesting, but it's just barrel strength in different places. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's kind of also intriguing to see that that particular mash bill, when you blend between different barrels, you can get a product such as Booker's.
Yeah, but imagine the fact that you have something that's like white label and the repeal batch that were massive batches. I mean, you could have 10,000 barrels in that batch, and that they kind of consistently, make sure that it stays consistent with how the last round tasted, and they want to keep that same consistency throughout their bottles. But this was only 7 barrels.
Yeah.
And then think about how they would try to figure out if that's what they were wanting.
I would think that, so it's probably similar. I would imagine it's probably similar to blending cigars. I mean, you're working on multiple projects. I mean, perhaps you guys are thinking that they're just like, all right, we're going to work on this one project. And maybe not you guys, but like, we're going to work on one project, and we're going to have a visitor right now.
Woo!
So, as we mentioned, it's Dustin's birthday, so...
Yes, we have a special guest, and I'm going to move over here. And then
so yeah.
Do you want to
Dustin,
explain
you
it?
Introduce? I mean, Jesus. Introduce your lady friend.
This is my girlfriend, Kathy.
Woo!
Absolutely amazing to say the least.
And then we can kind of set. Is that enough room for you? Yes.
So
look
we've got
at that,
this
folks.
amazing cake.
That's amazing. Good job.
So you guys listening and can't see this, and if you guys can see this, it's pretty amazing. We've got a cake that is custom made with BF cigars and an ashtray with a candle in it.
That's perfect.
And then a Willet bottle.
Yeah. That's amazing. Look at that.
That's sweet. So you need to get your phone first of all, Jake, take a picture of that.
Got it.
Yeah. Cool. Let's get to work on that.
We'll talk.
So yeah, we'll post a picture of it. It's pretty amazing. We wanted to wish Dustin a happy birthday. So this is awesome.
I don't have words.
Woo!
So yeah, you can talk. I mean, it's an audio. It's an audio
I don't know
thing
what to
too.
say.
So
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Literally.
And there's presents. There's presents. So you're seeing a little insight into Dustin's birthday.
I feel like I should open this.
And the woman that is
Do
there.
it. Midwinter Night's Dream.
What's that?
Screwed it up. Midwinter Night's Dream.
Right.
One more time?
Nothing.
So, what do you get a guy that's on a bourbon podcast. That's awesome.
First birthday.
And
you get whiskey.
And cigars.
And cigars.
Which that I've never had.
What'd you get?
The Liga Privada Feral Pig.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the Padron 1964 anniversary.
Woo! Cheers, Dustin.
Good girlfriend.
That's amazing.
Right?
That's yeah. Cheers.
So happy birthday.
Yes.
Dustin.
Yes.
And here comes Big. Hug and kiss.
Aww.
Get in there. All right.
Thank you, Dave.
You seem so ecstatic, Steve, about the whole experience.
Oh, I knew about this, and I was her assistant basically on this whole thing. It's definitely came out amazing on this. The cake.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I like the cigar. I like the labels. I like the Willet bottle.
Yeah.
This is like crazy detail.
So here's my question: are you gonna let the candle burn out, or are we gonna do
Make a
something?
wish.
You
Oh!
Did
Did you make a wish?
I already had a wish.
No,
Oh.
you can't walk into it. You have to
Hey, you see a candle, you
just
already
start
the
making.
process.
Is that like all the time? You see a candle and you just start wishing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially Hanukkah. You got so many candles, so many wishes. Oh, that's
Happy
how it
Hanukkah
works.
for everyone. No, maybe.
Okay.
No, we did. That's a great. I mean, actually, we didn't say that. This is even to be married. I didn't want to exclude anyone, but
Oh, damn it.
Happy Hanukkah for anyone
What
listening.
do you guys
No,
think?
it's just saying. I think it's awesome.
Are we going to leave that there?
I don't think so. I don't think we should just leave it here.
Yeah, it's probably something's going to happen to it.
Just
Yeah.
be careful with
Jacob,
if you do.
hit it.
I think you're still in charge of this.
Oh,
You did such a good job. I wouldn't.
seriously, there's a candle back there for reading.
It's all about So
I'll put it back on a show before I leave.
perfect.
Thank you very much.
Are you hanging out, or are you?
Yes.
Oh, there
Yay!
it is. Another studio audience.
Awesome.
All right.
That was good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Where were we?
I don't know. I'm glad Kathy got with you about that, though. You happy?
I am.
Nice.
She's not in the room. You can say what you really think.
No, I'm like extremely ecstatic.
Yeah, it's awesome. It is. It's very cool. So,
It's
cheers to that.
amazing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Nice midwinter nice dram. You know, for our listeners and viewers, you know we love this stuff. What's the last time we had the Act 5, Scene 5? What's that?
This is Act 6, Scene 2.
Nice.
98.6 proof.
Perfect.
And they always have something fun on the back.
Oh, for sure. They got a long
And High West
list of
bottles
things.
are always.
Very, very cool.
Oh, yeah.
They look like
Absolutely.
they were hand blown with bubbles in them.
And this has always been one of my favorite bottles ever since I had it on here. Actually, it's the only time I've had it.
Yeah.
Was when I was on here, and
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic.
simply amazing. Oh,
What do you think of the Bookers?
I think it's good. I just added a little bit of just a drop of water in there, and I think it's very good. It's
Yeah.
definitely well, I mean, just like the other Bookers. I mean, it's got heat to it. It's
Do you remember how the others tasted, though? At all?
drunk.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how most of the Bookers taste.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's effective.
Very.
Is what I would call it. It's very effective.
I think though this one is a perfect just wintertime, not just wintertime because of the heat, but that Christmas time type whiskey. It's because it's got all these sweet notes,
Yeah.
and Christmas is known as your sweets baking holiday is one of them.
Yeah. After I took that sip, I swear I just saw, like, breath. when I took a breath.
Yeah,
When
a
I-
little bit
Fire,
of
yeah.
Yeah, honestly.
No, I think it's good. It's got it's just there's so much heat, so it's you have to get it on that first part of the sip.
Nate's putting smoke in his glass. He's
He's got
making a
fire
smoke.
with it.
Did you try it
old-fashioned.
before that? Okay. My poor
No,
glass.
but before it starts that heat, like it's not up front, which I love. There was that I forget the store now, but it's like that Buffalo Trace in a sense that Phil Davis, who's been on the show, he got me that bottle from a store pick, and it was the exact opposite of most Buffalo Trace. It kind of had, not to this extent, but you didn't have that burn of the heat right up front. It was you sip on it, you taste everything,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's like you lit a fuse, and now all of a sudden, like in your throat and chest is kind of on fire.
But I think this, like, it comes with a strong amount of heat, but, and it lingers, like you said, the finish lingers for a while.
Yeah.
But it's not something that's so overpowering that kind of leaves you want to push the glass away.
No, but I mean, it's one of those things. I think anything this hot is going to be a sipper. I mean, there are some whiskeys that we've had on the show that you can literally just kind of keep sipping on, but you can get through a glass pretty quickly. I remember the first time we had the Bookers on here with Brad Grimsley.
Wow.
And it was when I say effective, so all like we're kind of joking about it, but it was the first glass. It takes a long time to get through. I think that first glass because it's a sipper.
Bookers are very much nightcaps.
Yeah, that's
very much a nightcap.
Yeah,
your last glass that you're not going to just down the hatch and call it a night.
I was actually afraid about this one because when it first came out, I read a lot of reviews that it was like super hot, just like what you guys said. And I'm not getting a massive amount of heat, but I'm getting that lingering, that very pure, rich note that it comes from the barrel, and it just lingers and lingers and lingers. But I think it's a little richer than the second batch. Do you remember that? I think
by far. Now, granted,
which is the second
backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
Now, granted, when we did have that, it was like 98 degrees outside, and we were
that's true.
all sweating profusely.
But didn't it have like a little bit more spice? Like this doesn't have. There's a difference between.
It's definitely different.
Yeah.
I think this one even has a little bit more sweetness than the Kathleen's batch did. Kathleen's batch had that kind of like a fruity berry type note to it.
Yeah, this is
like
straight
a dark fruit.
honey and caramel.
This is straight like sugar cane.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
It is actually. I can see that for sure.
It's almost like a syrup, tasting like a syrup.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nate commented, "It's amazing that they can give it that character of delayed heat."
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those things that that's a good point because that's what I mentioned with that Buffalo Trace. The typical Buffalo Trace profile is heat up front, in my opinion, the first couple sips.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can change the barrel or whatever it might be, and same mash bill, but it tastes that much different. And almost like the way that it hits your palate and the lingering, like Nate was saying, the fact that it's got that delayed heat. I don't know. Do you guys know why that happens, or does anyone out there know why?
I think it's
the
just
change of it.
I think it's just strictly from the barrel blend and it being
the aging.
Yeah, it's being the at the top rick house, and I'm guessing I don't know where these rick houses are placed, but I'm guessing these are the ones that are at the the top of the hill. If you go to Jim Beam Distillery, they have a couple warehouses that are at the top of the hill, and they have another area across state that they have barrels too. So who knows if some came from there? I don't know what the elevation is, but we've talked about how heat rises, and how that pertains to like how the aging of the barrel is and what it ends up being. And most of these barrels, 6 of them being at the ninth rick of the warehouse, that definitely has something to do with it.
Well, being at the top means it ages quicker than the barrels at the bottom. It doesn't always necessarily mean that those barrels are going to be hotter than some of the others.
Yeah,
it can be, but I think so. The lingering heat may also have an effect from the blending of the different barrels.
No, it's just, and that's the conversation.
But it's extremely intriguing though, because Buffalo Trace can be extremely harsh, whereas Eagle Rare, being the same mash bill, is much mellower and smoother, and they're aged about the same time.
It might be the fact that this is 126 proof instead of 128.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I think it could be. Even some of the guys, from some of the bourbon pages, like Pat Styles is saying, he's not sure if it's by choice. So these are conversations that it'd be great to have someone on the show or talk to someone, from a distillery, and I am very curious because from a cigar side of it, you can actually smoke like what we call it puritos. You can smoke just the wrapper leaf. You know what that's going to do by itself.
That was at the Alec Bradley event.
We did it at the Alec Bradley event. But I'm saying when you can actually chew on a piece of tobacco and get some sort of flavor from that as well. Yeah. Because all those things, and so it's almost like a recipe where you're actually putting that together. Mm-hmm. Where this, I'm curious, and I'm wondering if anyone out there listening to the podcast or if you're on Facebook Live, if you do know. I mean, like Pat Styles is saying, you probably move it around some, like you were mentioning. Nate says, could it be a science or is it just random? But look at I want to say there's some randomness to it. I mean, I think once you've been around that,
oh, for sure.
Once you've been around the industry, once you've been down the, there's a lot of these guys in these in the rick houses that are employed by it. They've been there for years. Mm-hmm. So it's like year after year after year. I would think, and there's probably still some randomness, but the fact that you're using the virgin barrels and the fact that you're like putting them in the same spots, like the the what was it, the honey
spots.
The honey spots. So it's like you know how long to age it, but there's got to be some part of the farming side of it, of the ingredients, the corn and everything else that, some batches will be a little bit different.
But look at the percentages of the blend here, Steve. It's 29%, 42%, 8%. There's 3 8%, and then a 4 and a 2.
I think
well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think this isn't someone's first day. This is something that they're looking at it, that if they know some of the characteristics from those spots in the rickhouse after that amount of age, I would think that's how they're probably putting this together.
I'm curious to see.
I think part of it is that, but to your point, Steve, there is very much randomness. It really all is random. I mean, they have select barrels that they may choose from.
Yeah.
But they have 7 barrels here. They could have picked from 50 and narrowed it down to those particular 7 to get this particular batch. And like Pat Stiles saying, having tasted barrels feet away have such a different taste is mind-boggling to him.
Right.
Which is so true, because you can have, like you said, Jake, 2 picks from Wild Turkey by Prohibition. Mm-hmm. One was going to be Russell's, one was going to be Kentucky Spirit. They were right next to one each other.
Yeah, I remember
in the brick house, but tasted completely different, and lo and behold, they actually had to switch the labels.
Yeah.
So there is some randomness to that.
Absolutely.
That's the point there. But I mean, when you're doing this is very, we should get a picture of this as well, the master distiller notes, because it really is, as Jake was saying, 29% came from the 4th floor of the 9-story warehouse D. And it goes all the way down to 2% came from,
right,
7th floor, 9-story warehouse J. I mean, it's crazy that, but I think they're probably doing some sort of a recipe where they have just all of these bottles or whatever labeled, and they're just, hey, a little bit more of this, a little bit more of this. I mean, they're basically coming up with a cocktail at that point.
That's the blending piece of it. And that's where the science, I think, comes in. The randomness is just picking barrels, and then the science is bottling pieces of those barrels, and then just having a heyday of making concoctions.
It makes you wonder, though, like, if they are working on several different ones, they're like sitting down working on this project.
I bet they have.
How much are you wasting? Not wasting, but you know what I mean? Like, how much are you using on these very small amounts to try to get? Because we're getting down to 2%. Like,
I know.
How are they pouring like a glass for like 5 people?
Right. I guarantee that's what they're. I think they're probably putting it in like a pitcher, and then they like a glass mixing pitcher.
Yeah.
And then they try it and they say add, just like you said, like add a little more. Try
a variety of different mixes.
And then they know they have, if you've ever been to a distillery, you'll see in the tasting room, most tasting rooms have almost like a Lazy Susan table.
Yeah.
And, they have their master tasters that are there, just blending and stuff like that, and coming up with different, barrels and blends that they think that are good and what's not good, and what?
No, just Fred, no. 7th generation.
Yeah.
Master distiller.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I think that's something, again, that passed down. Not only have the individuals been there for a long time, but there is a lot of hand-me-down as far as that knowledge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You've got that Jim Beam, you've got it at Wild Turkey with Eddie Russell. There's a lot of families that are like that. What's the age on it?
It's
that
other side.
6 years, 4 months, and 12 days.
What's today?
The 12th of December.
12 days. December 12th.
12 days of Christmas.
Got it.
Sure.
Your birthday.
Today.
Is it today?
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah.
You just got a cake.
Yeah, you're right.
Damn it. I feel like that should be more memorable.
Do you like this though?
I actually do like it.
Okay.
Again, it is a nightcap. So for my first drink of the day, it's a little stiff.
I think though this would be much more enjoyable in warmer months than backyard barbecue was, by far, just because of the spice that came with the backyard barbecue.
Well, yeah.
Now, Kathleen's batch, we had that in late February, and it was still a bit chilly out. So
yeah, but that Kathleen's is so much like, instead of we say like this is like honey and caramel, Kathleen's was like creamy.
It was creamy, but I still get like that fruity note to it, kind of like a berry.
I tell you,
it's weird.
By the end of the first glass, which I'm getting to, then it was not a big pour, but the heat starts going away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I did put a little dash of water in there a little bit ago, so the heat's going away. I mean, now it is a lot more sweetness, like all the way through. Now that like my chest My torso has gotten used to the burn. I don't know if it brought it up to temp or not, but basically.
Did that mix well with the Chipotle?
That was Hotheads. And yes,
okay.
the Hotheads was delicious.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
I will say I did light up the Avo Classic, and as of right now, the Booker's just completely overwhelms that cigar.
Well, I think this is more of a, I don't want to call it a delicate blend, but it's one of those that is a nice, well-balanced cigar when it's like kind of medium body, but on the lighter side of it. It's not too strong, but it's also, I think there's more to it. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think this bourbon is going to overpower most things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't taste the Hotheads
I think the cigar has a creamy note to it that kind of adds a weird balance to the whiskey.
The Avo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it overpowers it, but it draws out that creaminess in the cigar versus some medium body cigars can have a little bit of a spice. Now, is this Dominican, Nicaraguan?
So a Dominican filler, Dominican binder, and then it's an Ecuadorian Connecticut seed wrapper.
Okay.
But that being said, it is a darker, when people hear, they say Ecuadorian wrapper, but it's still like Connecticut seed. It's not going to be that real light shade grown look. I mean, it's definitely more of like a little bit, I don't know if it's Colorado shade or not, but it's definitely darker than that real light, what people would call a Connecticut.
A little bit lighter than the VS Gold.
Yeah, just a little bit.
A little bit.
Nate Hale asked, does it pair with the Avo better than the Backyard Barbecue did with the Oliva V?
Yeah.
That is for sure. Yeah. Yes.
Because you add another 60 degrees in the air. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean with the Oliva V, and that wasn't the Bolaño, folks. That was the original V, and then you had like the second one, which we just said that was spicy.
Yeah.
That was rough. That was a rough day.
Yeah, it was hot.
That was probably the worst pairing, in my opinion.
That we've had.
That we've had.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting heartburn thinking about that day, and I don't want to do that.
You're sweating.
Yeah, it was hot as shit, and I don't have hair to, so it pours down the head. You don't understand. Someday you might.
Maybe, not probably.
No.
You don't know that. All right.
I will someday.
I'm going to have hair forever.
Oh.
Cool. Good luck.
So tell us more about the cigar.
So Avo is named after a musician, and I'm going to say his last name wrong, I always do, but it's Avo Uvasian.
Wow.
Uvasian. Yeah. So and Avo, actually, he passed away. It's been 2 years now, year or 2 years now, and I believe he was in his 90s. But I got a chance to meet him briefly at the IPCPR a couple years back. And then he was actually in the Centurion Lounge at the airport in Vegas at the same time. But he's scooting around on his scooter. He didn't walk. I don't know if he walked much at all, really. But he was on a scooter. He had that iconic hat that he always wears, which is really cool. But this the whole thing about it is the story is that Avo and then Hendrik Kellner from Davidoff. Basically, the story was that he was Avo was upset that he had to pay a lot of money for a good Cuban cigar, so met up with Kellner and they basically did a collaboration, and he helped out with the blending process, which is probably similar to what we did with the BS. So you have a blender that knows all this stuff, and then you say what you want, and then you tweak it back and forth. So this is something that has been around for quite some time. It's the Avo Classic. I'd call it, like I said, medium bodied. And it does have that real kind of smooth, creamy. And then if we weren't drinking the Bookers, I would say that it would probably have a little bit of just light pepper, like a light white pepper. It's not going to be like that real make you sneeze type thing, but there's just a little bit more to it than a lot of the kind of lighter to medium body cigars, in my opinion.
I think this would go good with that rabbit hole that we had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it would.
Yeah, I could see that.
Or even that the Jack Daniel's Gold, I think would be awesome with this.
Probably.
That Gold was pretty good. It was later. I had never seen one of those before.
I mean,
But I feel like Dominican cigars tend to have that creamier note to it.
I think
depending on what part of the plant it comes from, but
well, and it doesn't have that some of the Dominican tobacco that people use in the filler. I think it gives it kind of this twinge of an aftertaste that I just don't like. It kind of sits on. It's not that it's green. It's not that it's not ready to go. It's just the fact that it just has this aftertaste on some of the lighter Dominican cigars. For me, I typically prefer like more Nicaraguan tobacco a lot of times. But I went back to this Avo not too long ago. It's probably been about 6 months ago, and I just don't smoke it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. That's a Dominican cigar mainly, and you know it's an older brand. People smoke it because of the name.
They're not necessarily cheap either.
No, but they're not crazy expensive. Yeah. I mean, this one is $11.95. It is the number 9 size, I believe.
But it's kind of like a Toro size,
It's
right?
Toro size, yeah. Right. But they call it like number 2, number 9. That's the 2 sizes we carry.
Is it number 2 like the Robusto size for our listeners?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I'm getting that wrong or not. I'm going to have to look that up, but I always forget. I always have to look.
I know we have a couple guys that really like them.
They sell really well, and I'll tell you, these, again, I think there's a reason. It's a very easy smoking cigar.
It is. My old manager that came into the shop with me, he big Avo fan.
Yeah.
Big Avo fan. He got me one before we left. It was the 30th, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which I haven't had yet.
After smoking, because again, folks, this is the first time I'm trying it, and
what do you think?
I enjoyed it, but I definitely see if they were going after like a Cuban-esque cigar, I think they nailed it. So like for those that want, kind of something that is Cuban-esque but they can't get it in the United States, I definitely get an Avo Classic for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
Because it has that, it's not a grassy note, I do agree with you.
No, I think it's the Avo Domain that has that real grassy.
But this has that same...
This website is not helpful at all.
What did we call it when you first came back from Cuba? We called it like a field note, almost. Yeah, just because of the fact that he was... Just because of the fact that, he had house-rolled cigars that were, fresh, field-rolled cigars. So
farm-rolled.
Yeah, farm-rolled. So I think that's why we said that. But we talked about last week with the experience. That's what I'm getting from this.
Yeah, I mean, it's really well balanced. I think they did a really good job with this. And again, this is Nate's fulfilling Dustin's producer role tonight. He came in my earpiece there and said that this is actually the number 2.
And then the number 9 is the Robusto.
Number 9 is the smaller size. The Avo Domain is the one that really screwed me up. The reason I don't think I went back to the Avo Classic is I was not very knowledgeable about the line back several years ago, and so I remember smoking it, but I think it was the Avo Domain because the way that it describes it on here, that's the one that like in the retrohale, it's got this like real grassy and earthy or whatever you want to call it. Like it did not sit well with me at all.
Yeah.
And I think when people use that type of tobacco in the I think it's the filler really is the big part of it. This is very smooth, clean finish, all by itself.
Clean. That's
clean.
Clean.
Yeah.
Just a clean finish. Definitely.
So I really enjoy this cigar, and this size on our shelf is $11.95. So I think that it is definitely worth $11.95 compared to a lot of the cigars that are in that price range. Nice job, Nate.
And for sure, like for the people that want to come in and grab one of these and try it out for themselves for the holidays, this is 15% off if you come in from the time that you're hearing this up until the up and coming Tuesday of next week.
That's right.
So come in and grab this, as you mentioned, the Bourbon and BS podcast. You get 15% off, so it's not $11.95 for you.
Well, the rest of them really aren't that bad price either. If you think about it, they're pretty comparable to Monte Cristo.
Yeah, and I think the Avo Synchro, I think they did a good job on that. And again, I don't know how much blending towards the end that Avo was doing himself. I imagine this was kind of then just put on as another line for that.
Master blender.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if he had. I really don't know what. That'd be interesting to look into. But like the Avo Synchro, Nicaragua was a different blend that was a lot more unique for them because they started using Nicaraguan tobacco.
And then you have the Ritmo, that's South American.
The Ritmo is a good cigar.
Yeah, great.
It didn't sell all that well.
I know, it's crazy.
That one was
great cigar.
$13.95. It was
box press.
Yeah, it was a buck or two more on the shelf, but it was tobacco from all over the place. It had a ton of flavor.
It was phenomenal.
And it was unique. It's always nice to find a unique cigar, in my opinion.
It is, because there's some out there that are unique, but
right.
Sometimes when you get tobacco from various countries, they can not always blend great, but sometimes you can find they'll actually knock one out of the park.
Is there a whiskey that you guys would like to see paired with this better? Like I said, Rabbit Hole, but is there something like you guys would figure?
I'd say a sweeter whiskey. I can't think of one off the top, but some of the makers maybe.
What?
Angel's Envy.
Oh, yeah,
Angel's
I was just about
Envy.
to say that.
The Blade and Bow that I've got.
Blade and
It's
Bow,
an
yeah.
NGP, but it's a lower proof.
I know you guys weren't a big fan, but the Bibb and Tucker.
Actually,
It
I
was-
liked
it
the
was
Bibb and
light
Tucker. It was
and-
light.
Yeah.
Light and sweet.
Yeah.
See, I got a spiciness from
We got the IW Harper, but that was like super.
That was
light.
like water.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
I tried that. I wasn't on that podcast, but that's like water. But that's like that. I think after I tried it, that IW Harper, I think that has a clean finish as well.
That's
So
your
like
perfect-
it being
That's your perfect summertime whiskey.
yeah. So like having like the Avo that has a clean finish, having
Yeah.
the
yeah.
IW Harper. I don't know. I wonder if they just like cancel each other out.
Could be.
Actually, this cigar would probably be overpowering. I think a lot of things would be overpowering the IW Harper that we drank.
Now what was that? That was like right at 42% or something.
I mean, it was
like that.
average. I mean, it wasn't like this. It wasn't like a barrel proof
It was-
or anything like that. It was at your average, like 40-ish.
Yeah, it was like 40. It was 84 proof.
So yeah, 42.
Yeah, so I mean, it's your
42%,
average.
something like that.
You know what I mean? It's your
Yeah.
average, and that's $26. So
Yeah.
that's not bad at all.
That's-
In
yeah,
fact, I
that's-
thought about buying that instead of the small batch that I got.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, because by the time I got to the Kroger today, because I was running around after the shop and on my way here, and by the time I got there, I mean, I don't know if they had Buffalo Trace because that was all cleared out. I don't
They
know if
didn't.
and I mean, it didn't seem to have much. They had a bottle of Angel's Envy, which has been tougher to find recently. That was sitting there, and they had a couple others, but it's like, I know we were doing this, didn't really feel like, spending $50 on a bottle just to have as a backup, you know what I mean? And then I was looking at IW Harper, we haven't had it in a while, so sometimes I think when you go to a liquor store, I know there's a lot, and we talk about a lot, is that there is a lot of fun in the hunt, but sometimes you just buy a $20, $30 bottle that you know you're gonna like.
It gets annoying sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of running all around, you know you like it.
That's why I told Dustin I'm done with that Kroger on Sunbury Road, man. I'm tired of that Dave dude.
All right, Dave.
I can't deal with him.
I like the lady in there. She's always nice. She's great.
She probably just likes you.
Probably.
Yeah, they don't like me.
I've got the Chick-fil-A girls by the shop, and like they want to come into the cigar shop. They're super nice too. If you guys are in the area, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
Swear to
I
be a
like Chick-fil-A.
sweatshirt.
Huh?
I like
Chick-fil-A's good. Yeah, I go there for breakfast pretty much every morning now.
Never had their breakfast.
It's good.
I mean, can't go wrong with their waffle fries.
Jeez.
I can get the egg white grill, which is a grilled chicken muffin with the egg white on top. It's really good. It's so funny.
The all over the place.
It's nothing unusual.
No, I mean we
You
do.
brought
Have,
up the fact that maybe she she a fan of me at Kroger, and I made me think of the Chick-fil-A girls. They're getting more and more personable.
we had.
I have to
Dustin's-
allow more time to
We had
Yeah, but-
stop.
Kathy's entrance with the cake, and
That cake is gorgeous.
yeah, it is.
It is.
It's
I'm
awesome.
afraid to cut into it because it's so pretty. She did a great job. Thank you.
So now you're saying you're not gonna eat her cake that she got you?
Oh, well, I'm still going to cut the cake.
All right,
so.
Yes.
Kylie from National says, "Is this podcast sponsored by Chick-fil-A?" No, but we
That would be cool. That would be amazing.
I'll see what I can do.
That would be great.
See what I can do.
And we do have the viewership now, I think, to definitely do that.
I don't think, the staff on most mornings has the pull for that kind of sponsorship, but we'll see what we can do. I don't know. What do you think?
Morning shift.
Yeah.
So, 'tis the season to be merry.
Yes, 'tis the season to be merry.
Saving real quick for our Facebook viewers. Thank you everyone for tuning in. For our new viewers, please talk about like what you're smoking or what you're drinking tonight, and we can discuss it on the podcast. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey ladies, want to come see my garage? Kylie, thanks. You're awesome. Kylie, you wish you were here. I want to make sure this is actually...
She's very
Charging,
joking.
good.
She's always got jokes.
She does. She's funny. 'Tis the season to be merry.
Yes.
So we do the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house.
He's been wanting to say that
I have.
all night.
He's
I
not
have.
saying it all
I know,
day.
but it's not like in public.
No.
public.
Now it's recorded.
Now it's recorded. He's been waiting.
I like the line, "'Tis the season to be married." That's my name. No shit.
What's that from?
You can't see the lines, can you, Russ?
Christmas
No, sure can. Russ?
Huh?
That girl in the department store is... Come on, Nate. God damn it.
We don't need a visual.
So Nate, stands up after that line. I'm like, what is he doing? He's doing the whole pose that...
The high waist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You alright?
No, I'm good.
You need a moment?
No. Anyways.
Nate, you want to do that again for
we need another
Jake
break?
over here? No, don't. Seriously. Sit your ass down.
Do you want to still do Mary, or you think it's politically and not politically correct?
No, it's
True.
very... No, it's
Mary
very...
is still...
Are you sure that is tobacco? Pat says. Yeah, it's tobacco-ish. I think the whole Merry Christmas thing, there's just, it's fact of the matter. You know what I mean? If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas, I don't think it's offensive. I don't think it should be offensive. I think if you're Jewish, if you celebrate something else, it's just, you can say Happy Hanukkah. Yeah, I mean, Happy Holidays. I don't think you go, again, I was talking about earlier, like you go too far one extreme, and like you can't say Merry Christmas, and then people start saying it again.
As a repercussion of...
exactly. But I mean, you have that. If you want to say Happy Hanukkah, I think that's fine. I don't celebrate Hanukkah, so I'll wish it to people that I know are Jewish, like my friends will say, hey, Happy Hanukkah, I know it started. Eric Goldhaber is a Jewish person, yes. There's several Jewish people.
He's the only one that I know.
He can't even say Jew without being, without sounding bad.
I am a late 30s
Isn't
white
that
male.
terrible, though? You can't say Jew.
I'm a late 30s white male, anything I say is wrong.
Without sounding bad.
Not to get political, but that's the way sometimes it happens. I just think the whole Merry Christmas, 'tis the season to be merry, I like that saying because it is based on the whole Merry Christmas thing, but I think, it's nice. It's nice to take the holidays and not, because a lot of people have problems with it, it's a lonely time, it reminds them of family, friends they've lost, there's a lot of self-reflection time, I think, at the holidays, but when you actually... we talk about sometimes enjoying life and getting everything out of the day.
Yeah.
This is a great reminder of a season of the year, of the calendar, that there's a lot of history around this time of the year. Whether it be, the Jewish history or Christian history or the belief. But I think that it's something that a lot of people just, they either take too seriously one way or another, but you do kind of see a lot of people that are happier, that there's people that you see a light in them a little bit because something's going right this year, or it does give them fond memories, growing up, childhood stuff, hopefully, but
and that's
just
being
overall.
merry. Being cheerful, being lively.
Yeah.
That is the pure definition of being merry.
It really is. But I think this time of year, it's like you said, Steve, it is a time of reflection because you've got Christmas and Hanukkah, and then you've got the New Year.
Yeah.
It's basically, starting over at that point. And it's kind of a time of reflection, looking back, but, it's also a time of spending time with loved ones and, the ones you care about. And, if you don't have a lot of family around, maybe you have friends, or at least hopefully you've got friends that you can get together with for the holidays. And I think that's where the whole, that merry part of it comes into play. But if you notice, after Thanksgiving, you've got Black Friday, and then everyone's ecstatic out of their minds for Christmas for about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
That happens in November now.
Yeah, but...
which is bullshit.
But then you get into the halfway through the first week, 2 weeks.
To be married. It's fucking November.
Yeah.
You get into the second week of December, and everyone's
I agree.
Ready to rock.
stressed out of their minds because they can't find the gift they're looking for, or...
Oh,
they completely forgot to buy gifts altogether.
And then Christmas hits, and it's it's all done in 12 hours, pretty much.
Yeah,
and then everybody gets hammered on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
I'm gonna forget Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
I love what Kylie says, from working in bars and how much money I made from the desperation of people and then being miserable during this time of year, the season, I'm going to say married isn't quite the emotion that's exuded. So Kylie is apparently a bit of a, what they call a Grinch.
Yeah, I would say, geez.
Scrooge, yeah. Yeah, that's, Merry Christmas, Kylie. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, exactly.
We want to wish you and yours a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
For those that like look at Christmas as like a bad thing, like with being, it's the same thing that you hear when we're talking about Thanksgiving, right? The in-laws or the family. We got to be around the family. It's like when obviously, some family members. There's always that one family member that either annoys you or gets under your skin or something like that. Everybody has that, but it's like why can't you just forget it for like one day and be merry about it? I mean, even with Thanksgiving, it's just like be thankful, forget it.
Just don't allow you to do that.
Just don't go then.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go, then just try to enjoy it. If
And
you're
then
gonna
you
try
can't
to annoy
complain.
you, then
Then you can't
no,
complain because you're alone either.
Take drinks to deal with it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a
Rough
slippery
road there.
slope. But
Rough road there.
I don't know. This time of the year, there's a lot of stress. People go crazy, like you mentioned, the shopping and everything else. It's definitely been commercialized, which is fine. I think the big thing with Christmas, it has lost a lot of value on what it's based off of. I'm sure Hanukkah. I think honestly, Hanukkah I don't think has as much because it's not as commercialized. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there is a bit of that. But I like it. I'm already listening to Christmas music. The holiday
Yeah, we have it on in the shop all the time.
Yeah, we have it on in the shop, which, maybe I'll get tired of it, but I mean, I like listening to certain ones. I think there's some really beautiful music. I think decorations, I don't decorate much, but I think it's nice to see. Again, it's something that you do. If you get stressed out about it, again, don't do it. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Find your way to actually enjoy the season.
Unless you're like the people on Christmas, the cranks, on Christmas with the cranks, where it's you don't want to deal with the holiday and everybody gets pissed off in the cul-de-sac.
Let's just not do it this year.
Yeah.
All right, so Kylie's still out there. I mean, I feel like we have a guest on right now. I mean,
What's her deal?
So the cooking, the decorating, the spending, the family interactions, ... It's all stressful. I'm not a Grinch, but the unnecessary stress is just something I'm not interested in.
But why is it stressful? Because you feel like you have
If
more
I-
obligations than you
Right.
normally do?
But I remember seeing a post from Kylie that, she was cooking. Apparently she's a killer cook and does really well.
But
So,
she
I
doesn't
mean,
like to cook, so what the hell does it matter?
Well, she didn't say that. I think she thinks it's unnecessary stress, which I get. I mean, I remember sometimes, my parents, especially my mom, when she, tries to put together everything for that, with the Christmas dinner and all that stuff, it can be stressful.
That's
We
when
go
other
in and
family
pick up-
members help out, though. That's what we do with my grandmother.
I mean, it's nice if that happens.
We
but I don't
show up
think-
like 2 hours early now and help her because she's getting older. It used to be that she was like purely, no one help me, I'm doing this because I love the family and we're getting together and I want people to be here.
That's how my dad is.
And then it's getting to the point where she does get too stressed out, so we've put it on ourselves to get there 2 hours early, and my mom and I help and stuff like that.
Kylie says watching my family cook is stressful, so there you go. She'd rather do it herself.
Is there one good comment that she's got tonight?
She had that funny one earlier. God damn, Nate. December leads in conceptions and suicides. Different people have different emotions this season.
That's true.
So basically, either you're banging or you're completely depressed. Is there anywhere in between? I mean, is that it?
I think that just has to deal with the winter and it being dark. Like, that's a seasonal depression thing.
Hey, it's cold. I mean, you keep warm.
He's not talking about the actual holiday. He's talking about the season.
Are we talking about banging or
Both.
What?
both? That's the conception part.
Got it.
So conception is...
Inception.
So when a guy loves a woman,
Damn, I don't know if he knows. Just saying words that rhyme.
I know.
Conception is inception.
Being cheerful.
What?
So fuck you guys. Like,
Whistling zippity doo out of our assholes.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think being married, like 'tis the season to be married. We had a hard time when we lost, my cousin around Thanksgiving time when I was in 6th grade, and he was the kid that was always cheerful, always happy, and then not having him there. I remember that first Christmas without him was very, very hard.
Yeah.
Because he was like the energy that brought everyone together.
he was the life.
Yeah, and since then, it brought the family closer for those that wanted to be closer, because we had to force ourselves to be closer because Anthony wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that I had to, since he was almost like a brother to me, and not to be on my own soapbox, but it's like
no, it's not so
when I was he was almost like a brother. And for those who don't know, I'm an only child, so he was someone to look up to. And when he was gone, I had to learn that like death was a real thing, and like he wasn't even at 6th grade. Like that's still hard to conceptualize.
I mean, it's hard at any age when you go to a holiday, like.
Yeah.
And I think it's about tradition. Obviously, you're sitting around a table. I mean, we talked on this show recently. For me, the last year or so, is my dad not being there. It's a change.
But I think it brought the family closer. Like I said, for the ones
that
the ones that did want to be closer. The ones that didn't, they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's however many years ago. Almost it was 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
I think one thing I like about the season too, and you're kind of mentioning, is the traditions.
Yeah,
I was talking to my mom about it the other day when we were helping set up the tree and decorations and all that stuff over at her house. I remember being a kid and I was like, we gotta put up all the ornaments and stuff like that. At one point in your childhood, you're excited about it, and then it's kind of like, I really just would rather play video games or just not
deal with any of it.
Do any of it, yeah. Like I don't care about the decorations, Mom. It's like, but you're helping. Like there's different ages I think a lot of people go through where they want to be a part of the tradition, they're excited about it as they go through the different years growing up as a kid, and then when you become teenager, and then you're a young adult, and then you're older, whether you have a family or not. I like the traditions. I miss, we used to go back to Chicago all the time to spend time, and we'd be over at my grandma and grandpa's, my mom's parents, and everyone would show up there. I mean, it was like 20 some people, and then as my grandfather passed away, and then it was just it's at the same house. We did that, and then it slowly changed where we weren't going back every year. As we became adults and going through all that, but we tried to go back as much as we could, and that tradition was amazing. I mean, it really was. But it's like my thing is that traditions change, and there's appreciation for that, and my family still tries to get together on all the holidays right now, and obviously that will change. And me in my position in life now, I don't decorate. I mean, I did when I was married. We tried all that stuff. As far as during the holidays, we tried to start our own traditions and everything, which I appreciate that as well. Now my tradition is working at the Tinder Box until Christmas Eve, and I'm going to bring in, just like I did last year, that bottle of Willet, and we're going to, toast to the season being, the retail season being over, and now it's Christmas, and I like that. I mean, there's room for different traditions, and when things fade, it's you never know when it's going to come back. If you have your own family, you're going to start. You may not even realize it, but you think, we used to do this when I was a kid. Now I want to do it for my kids, and that stuff comes full circle sometimes. But
I think it's really cool to see different people's traditions that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I've talked to some of the people at work as far as what kind of their traditions are, just to get some things from them. But one that I think is really cool, and it's not just because she's here, but Kathy's family does this saran wrap ball. So they put so just gifts and prizes in it.
Is he okay to talk about this?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
How big's the ball?
It gets big. It looks like it has tumors. Like it never makes a ball anymore. Like there's just so many things that are in it. So you
put something in it,
so
and you wrap.
You put some sort of gift in it. You wrap it in saran wrap, and you put something else in it. You keep wrapping.
Oh.
But then there can be bigger prizes. So what she'll do is she'll just put a piece of paper with a number on it and put it in there and keep wrapping.
What's the number?
Just a number goes sort of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc.
I know what a number is.
But it correlates
number 4.
Some other bigger gift that doesn't fit
into. I said, what's the number? And he said 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Hey, you asked the question, you got an answer.
What's the significance of the number?
So it correlates to some sort of bigger gift that doesn't fit into said ball of saran wrap.
It can be 1, 2.
I'm still wondering how big these balls get. Like, what's the diameter on the biggest one? Like what? Like 2 feet? Is that one?
I don't know.
It's really huge. It just depends on what you put into the ball.
Just a massive ball.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that tradition.
So what you do is you take 2 dice and you roll it, and when you get whoever gets a double starts.
Okay.
And they unwrap until the next person rolls a double. When they roll a double, you have to stop completely.
You have to
unravel it.
All right. Back up a couple steps. Do you give just normal gifts, Or is this it? This is the...
No, we give normal gifts too.
Alright, so this is a side...
It's like a side game tradition.
It's instead of a white elephant, right?
Kind of, but it's just...
My family does it with the little one-shot bottles of alcohol.
No, I like that one.
And it's about 300 feet of saran wrap.
So, are you drinking those bottles when you're not?
No, you keep them.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Where does the saran wrap come in?
You wrap the bottle in saran
I
wrap.
flustered him.
No, I feel like Dustin.
So you wrap the bottle in saran wrap.
Yeah.
And then you put another bottle and you keep wrapping. You put another one and you keep wrapping. So it basically just grows as you wrap it, and you're just wrapping these things inside
I
of
want
this
to know
bowl.
what one of these looks like because I'm picturing.
I'll take a picture for you on Christmas.
All right, cool.
So
how long does this take? I mean, how many things are in there?
There's a lot, but it doesn't take long. Once you see what's in it, like.
But you still have like hidden numbers, right?
So
now you're like,
there's
I'm
a lot
gonna
of-
do it this Christmas just for the hell of it.
There's a lot of-
Someone's gonna be like,
no,
"What
you're
the
gonna have a
hell
bottle
is
of
this?"
fucking whiskey in there and be like, hey guys, I did the saran wrap thing. And you're like, there's only one thing. It's a bottle of whiskey. You're like, I know, right?
Yeah, you idiots.
Fucking great. I win.
It takes a couple hours to make and only about 15 minutes to play and get through the whole thing.
Wasn't that how
Because it's
Christmas
like
is?
stick. I mean, like, I don't know where to pull.
You
the
don't.
next-
So you have to
You
find
find
the
the start and start
and you
with
can't
that.
tear it. So you have to find the end. You keep
gosh.
unrolling it. But so Kathy's
Who
in
puts
charge.
this together?
Kathy does it for her family, but she gets a little bit evil and she'll wrap and then she'll cut it off and then start another base and keep wrapping. And then cut it off and then keep wrapping.
So I was picturing like, you know, like you put it, like it's in like a room in the house and you would just go in and put your gift in there, you know what I mean, and then wrap on top of it and then like whoever's next. Because I feel like that would be a pain in the ass.
No, so everyone,
you just sit there, everyone's watching you too,
just
and you're like, I can't find it.
This is
Like,
amazing.
just
So it's
stop
like-
rolling for a second.
So it's like you just get like gift cards or just little knickknacks and or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
and you put stuff in there and you wrap it and then you put something else in, you keep wrapping, and you put something else in, you keep wrapping.
Wow.
I come from a very more traditional, I think, Lutheran family. That we didn't do anything like this.
Did you guys have white elephants where you drew names and then picked? No.
Just had gifts and stockings.
Did you?
Food.
Did you guys get? But did you get gifts for like all your other like relatives?
As kids, all the kids got it's like we're going back to the Zyder family, you know, like in Chicago. I was mentioning my grandma and grandpa's. I mean, like yeah, so all the kids would get presents, and then
One from grandma and grandpa, right?
well, so grandma and grandpa would get presents from everyone. All the cousins would get presents from pretty much all the families, and then like the aunts, uncles, and everything else would be a drawing. And that's kind of like so where we're at now is that all the cousins are and the aunts and uncles, and then my parents, like so everyone, you know, do the drawing. So I can't say it, but I had a relative that I went and bought a present for, and then we ship it to Chicago.
Oh, okay.
So we do the drawing thing,
Got it.
so that, and yeah.
We did that at on my mom's side for a little while too. Now it's just kind of, you know, we buy a gift for like each person, but it's just one. We kind of put a cap on it just for
So
financial reasons.
we draw names like just for financial reasons. Like grandma
Yeah.
and grandpa get a gift for all the the grandsons and granddaughters and stuff. But then each individual family picks a name out of the hat, and then that's who you buy for.
Yeah.
I like Lucky on here. Lucky says, now I understand why people get stressed. I think he's talking about that saran wrap ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gets, from what I've heard, Kathy's sister Lisa gets extremely competitive and slightly borderline violent.
Which is
With
what the holidays are all about.
What was
It's
getting
fun.
the ball or unraveling the ball?
Both.
So
I'm
so
assuming.
you roll it, and if you don't hit a double,
They keep unraveling until you hit a double. When you hit a double, that's it. They have to stop.
and then
So
you get
whatever they've gotten after they've
Got it.
unraveled,
Now
you
I
take
understand.
it.
So like if you were rolling, Jake would be unraveling. You keep rolling until you get a double. Jake keeps unraveling
When you get
And
a
then-
double, he stops.
and
you
passes
get
it
the
to
ball.
you.
Are you allowed to
Now I
use just like a
understand.
blade and just cut
No,
through it all?
no.
Alright, so
No
no.
cutting, no tearing.
All the
I'm
prizes.
saying, unless it's in the rule book, I'm saying it's all the prison rules, right?
Like
Well,
all
I'm
the-
saying-
What's Kathy's rule?
Yeah, I mean,
So don't-
apparently your sister gets violent. Has she pulled out a blade before?
I wonder sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen some people fall over. I got questions if she shanked them or not.
I'm
Oh.
curious that if you get that, like if she has just a bad December and she wraps in a
knife.
sharp object. Yeah, exactly. Like, she imagine a sharp object. She's just like rolling really slowly.
Don't turn it around.
So I'm thinking that she's rolling slowly, just staring at you in your eyes. You know what I mean?
It'll poke through.
So there's cats that's just like one dice, like rolling off the table and just staring at you, like keep unwrapping.
See,
you son of a bitch. Yeah, that joke's on you. Oh, you're bleeding. No, Merry fucking Christmas.
Filthy animal.
See, we just had those instances where it was like on 4 Christmases where the uncle bought like an Xbox and it was like a $10 or $20 cap. And the dad looked at him and it's like, you bought a fucking Xbox? That's a $20 cap.
That's a good movie.
That is a great movie.
Yeah.
I've noticed that though since Alicia and I started dating because there was a couple Christmases where we were driving, opposite directions where we'd go to her parents' house.
Yeah.
And she lives on the opposite side of Ohio, up in Bellefontaine. And then
outside of Columbus.
Yeah. Well, my grandparents live Nashport, like Zanesville, like Dresden.
So it is, far.
So we'd go from one in the same day.
Yeah.
So that's like a long day, and we did that for 2 years, and then we said we're not doing that anymore. So it's gotten to the point where we're thankful enough the fact that Alicia's brother, his birthday's on Christmas Eve. So we kind of celebrate like his birthday and Christmas on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And then spend the night, and then we go to my grandparents' house.
Sorry, yeah.
What's she saying now?
No, she's making fun of the. So yeah, we did the sweater thing or smoking jacket thing at the Tinder Box, and I had these matching sweaters. So I gave one to Ryan in the shop and myself, and she turned a nice festive winter sweater.
We're gonna put that on the story later so everybody can see that.
I don't know. Of course, it went straight to penises.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was rude and insulting. Honestly, they were nice sweaters.
They were nice sweaters, but they weren't sweaters; they were cardigans.
They were.
Well, never mind. They're jackets because it's an outer garment with a fastener up the middle. That's how I wore it for a smoking jacket. It is a sweater, jacket, cardigan.
It's not hyphenated.
Outer.
No, it's all one word.
No.
Yep.
Right.
Sweater, jacket, cardigan.
Say that 5 times fast.
Oh.
No?
I'll ask this. What do you guys think about, Christmas and the holidays being something that either you should, the people that you've either lost, like should you at least show them tribute and be merry about that, or like how do you guys go about that?
I
mean, I kind of said
lost,
it, but
yeah, we lost my dad last year or a year or so ago. And
I hate to get morbid, but I think that's
not morbid. I think it's part of the tradition, right? So I remember it was, I think, the Thanksgiving after. So my sister-in-law lost her grandma as well, and then I think there was 2 deaths in the family between the 2 families, including my dad. So that was during. I'm a big fan of my sister-in-law's parents, and when we had Thanksgiving the last several years, it's been over at their house, and so you're missing my dad there the first year, and so Bob Birch gave a nice toast to the people that we lost, and I think it's nice to pay tribute to it, and it kind of keeps that memory alive, but I think it's more of a sad thing for me. I mean, it's something that you can't change, and at the same time you don't want to forget them, but at the same time for me those are painful, not painful memories, they're good memories, so you want to stay happy about it, but there's
It's the fact
I don't think you can completely shut off the sadness aspect of it.
No.
You can't. And we've had holidays, where my granduncle or, when my grandfather passed away, where it was a lot different. The first year that my grandfather passed away, and my grandmother came to my parents for Christmas because we go there for early afternoon, kind of do a late lunch deal, and it was a tough time because it was obviously the first holiday that he wasn't around, first Christmas anyways, because there was Thanksgiving, and my brothers and I, we kind of all got together and got gifts for all my parents, my grandparents, and my great aunt, my grandmother, just as far as like the sentimental piece, and we got ornaments made.
Yeah.
And they were like gold angels that you could hang on the tree.
Oh, cool.
And it had their name and then, the year they were born, the year they passed away for each one.
I like that.
And then, so like for
my parents, we got one for my dad for my great grandmother who passed away for, it's going on 10, 15 years, but it's still there. And then my mom, my grandfather, and then so on and so forth. And it was one of those. I mean, obviously it was a tearjerker. Yeah. You get all those memories flooding back, but at the same time, it was kind of one of those things. We wanted to do something that to kind of help celebrate that.
Sure.
To where we miss them just as much.
I think that's the right thing to do.
The fact was, we wanted to, like you said, just honor them. And to where they'll always kind of be there. I have a tree topper that I don't have a tree this year, but I've got a tree topper that my grandmother made by hand, and it's an angel, and it's fabric, the foam ball, and it's got the little halo and everything. It's really, really gorgeous, and she's made some for various people in the family, and that's going to be one of those things that I keep every year. It's going to be kind of a tradition on whatever tree that I have.
I like that.
I like to keep that up there because it's always going to be kind of a symbol of family, and that's something that I hold close to myself with the holidays, especially Christmas. The gifts are all great and whatnot, but for me it's really truly just spending the time with family, and even friends, and loved ones. So being able to get together, because Christmas Day is the only day out of the whole year that Kroger is closed the entire day. But
it's nice for you.
It is, right?
Because you normally work holidays.
But it's really nice because I get to see everyone when I don't normally get to see a lot of people. Because my family lives about an hour west of here. So it'd be nice to see them, and it'd be really nice to see Catholic side of the family on Christmas as well. They live hour plus the other direction. So just like
you're gonna try to do both.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Still kind of working out details, but I'd like to.
That's what makes it stressful, right?
It does, but it can. But to me, it's I want to spend time with the ones I love as much as possible.
Exactly.
So if I have to drive a little extra, and if I have to, maybe cut the time a little bit short, then so be it. Because I at least got to spend some time on that day.
The worst part is when you have a full belly and you're like driving 2 hours and you're like, you're trying to keep your eyes open. At least that's how I am, man.
We're stopping to get coffee.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. I think.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
I was gonna say the funny side of it to you guys' point is that the people that get all bent out of shape that you're not there. You know what I mean? And as families grow, like when we stopped going back to Chicago, or like when I was married, and like my brother's wife is an only child, so that makes it easy. But as bigger families, especially as people they grow up, they have their own kids, they move away and all that stuff, and it's I hear different families. I think it's great when people try to be flexible, and with a smaller amount of children. Through that generation that's coming around, it's easier to do so that you can be like, all right, so we're gonna, we'll have Christmas celebration on this day at this side of the family, we're gonna do it on this side. But then when people get all bent out of shape, you're like, you're not like gonna be with us for Christmas.
Yeah.
And you have to do that. I think it's more of a classic. Well, we're gonna spend Thanksgiving with your family,
right?
Christmas with mine, and then next year you have to rationalize it because there's only so much you can do, even with like a bigger proximity bubble, like as far as how far out they are, but even if they're in the same area, I mean, if you're running around, I mean, that it's not undue stress, but it's, people get, it's usually, from what I've noticed, it's usually the patriarchs or matriarchs of the family, so the grandmother or whatever, they get all bent out of shape, they don't understand, like, well, no, so-and-so's been coming here for the last, 25 years, and now that you're in the picture, like, now they're gonna not spend Christmas with us, that's not okay.
Right.
There's the rationale is completely out the window. Right. It's like our tradition is our tradition, and you're supposed to be here. Well,
and they're stuck in their ways.
I'm not 8 years old.
They're stuck in their ways a little bit too.
But you want to keep that tradition alive. It's just sometimes you have to rationalize and be able to do things where you do eliminate a bit of the stress, and you do have it's that partnership. Obviously, as you grow older.
Well, that's why and you do have families that they live cross country and stuff like that, and that's something that you necessarily can't do. You can
maybe pick one trip like once a few years or something. Right. Go out there.
Like that's what my uncle does that lives down in Florida. Like he came up for Thanksgiving this year, and he hasn't been up for 3 years or so, or 4 years. You know what I mean? And that's we talked about that during the Thanksgiving episode where what makes it a big deal if he comes up for the Thanksgiving when he was just up here, 3 years ago, not for Thanksgiving, and this one's bigger? Well, it's because of that holiday, and it means more. We had like pictures done, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We had the family together, but I think when we're talking about Christmas, and then that's why Alicia and I, those couple years we had like arguments about well, what Christmas do we go to, because we weren't doing the whole Christmas Eve thing at her parents' house.
Right.
So we were like, well, like I've like to your point, Steve, I've never missed a Christmas at my grandmother's house. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, I guess we're going to both Christmases then. I'm driving, so I guess.
So you are right.
Yeah.
You have to be there.
Yes.
That's cool.
Exactly.
Again, I have no issue with people wanting to stay true to the traditions, but there comes a time where you have to, especially as you get older, if you're with someone, significant other, you have to create your own traditions. You carry it from both sides of it, and I think that's a big part of it, is that people, as they have their own families, or it's just the two of them, or it's just that one person, like, life changes, and sometimes it's you're not 8 anymore. So as much as you want to be there, it's kind of like, well, I've heard of couples that actually they go different ways.
Yeah.
All right, you go to yours. I mean, when you're dating originally, that's one thing, but like when they're actually a live-in, or a couple, or they're married or whatever, it's kind of like, well, I'm gonna go to my parents and you go to yours, and I'll see you later.
See you tomorrow.
Holy shit, you guys are missing the point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to be with the ones I care about most, and so that's why I try to do whatever.
I think that's the wrong way of wording it, because then you can misconstrue that and say, well, you don't care about me, and I'm your grandmother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
I get that, but
I'm serious though. I mean, that can be looked that way.
Yeah, but that's where I'm saying, I try to do everything.
That Dustin doesn't care about his grandmother? Is that what you're trying to say?
I love my grandparents. I actually
Just saying, if you could choose to do that.
Now you just set him up.
I love my grandma, but I know that's something that she might say.
There's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure. But that's, we were talking about stress, and like Kylie got bent out shape about like stress.
Well, she just sent a nice message though.
She did. She did get positive. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, and then she talked about how it was when her great grandfather passed away. So, if you guys are listening on the podcast, I will say that if you can tune into the Facebook Live right now as we're doing this.
Enjoy my hat.
Jesus. No, I'm saying it's the comments, the conversation from the people that are tuning in as we're doing it. You guys can actually, as you watch on Facebook afterwards, there's a
nice
lot.
hat.
Jeez.
Hey, Scott GK said you put the hoe back in ho ho ho.
That makes sense.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what to say after that. I had something on my mind.
You had something.
I lost it. Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome. So let me ask you guys this:
Nice
we talked about traditions? What are some traditions? I know, Steve, you talked about going back to Chicago, but what are some things that you guys do now? Like maybe not quite along the lines of this, the
bubble or
the saran wrap ball.
Yeah.
And you're just
so really, it's just me with the traditions.
But like Steve said, you don't really go back to Chicago.
No, I mean, not anymore. My brother's family's done it because he's got 2 kids, and so our cousins' kids are kind of the same, I guess, relationship that we had with our cousins when we moved here. So they're close. They see each other at holidays if they can. Sometimes they go on vacations together. So it's nice that they have a similar relationship with our cousins' kids, my brother and I's cousins' kids, as we did growing up. So that's actually part of the tradition, is that you want to see them and you want to like do the gifts and everything there. So I give credit to my 3 cousins, Kara, Melissa, and Lindsay. 2 of them are sisters, the other's an only child cousin, and they've kind of kept the whole Chicago thing going now that my grandmother has passed away. It seems like they're kind of spearheading the whole thing, keeping some of those traditions alive.
That's great.
I'd like to get back there on one of the holidays to do something with them.
Is that because you're at the shop though, like on Christmas Eve?
Yeah. So it's the shop thing. It's even my last job. It was never a good time to take vacation. It was, when I was married in my late 20s. Candy and I did go back to Chicago. I know at least one time to do that whole tradition, which was fantastic, but. It just, again, with life changing for me and being on my own over the last several years, it's not quite the same. I kind of feel bad The fact that, like my brother and sister-in-law, like they buy presents for all the cousins' kids because they have that kind of relationship, as like they're keeping that tradition alive.
Yeah.
I'm more of that uncle/cousin that I get the one gift for the people that are the person that I draw in the exchange, and I'd like to get, and I should, I don't know, it's one of those things I'm kind of torn on. I haven't really gotten gifts for all the kids, but again, I don't have any kids, so they're not really doing it too. It's not like a give or take, it's just something that I don't even really think about, because my life is somewhat different, and that's what, again, I was talking to my mom, the traditions, I appreciate all the traditions that we had, and I love those memories, and I would love to get to that point, but not having kids and working retail and basically working from I'll be working open to pretty much closed from this next Friday all the way through Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And then I'm off on Christmas Day, and then I'm back in on the 26th. It's a different lifestyle. It's not, I don't have the family coming down, the kids coming down the stairs, wanting to open the presents, doing all that stuff. I like the tradition we have here. And that's, for me anymore, I have the memories of the Chicago Christmases and all that. And I don't want to say I've moved on from that, but it's really just I've kind of evolved into Christmas Day for now. For me, is to go over to my mom's house, and so my brother's family will be there. My sister-in-law's parents will be there, and we do that whole dinner, and that's our Ohio family tradition since we're not in Chicago anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like for me where, and I don't want to make Christmas I don't want to make it out to be, just another holiday, but I think actually Christmas is much like Thanksgiving for our family,
Mm-hmm.
where it's, instead of, playing euchre or, card games after we eat, it's, we open presents or something.
Yeah.
So, well, not something, but we open presents, and then, what's that?
Yeah, like some sort of
Fuzzy?
Did you get it, Mom?
I think it's Mrs. Claus' hair.
Got it. Anyways,
Gross.
I think for our family, it's like it evolved from being, we do like a white elephant and we draw names and stuff like that. And now it's one of those things where it's, grandma and grandpa get, each individual grandson or granddaughter a certain gift, and then the parents, they hold back on the gifts like at their houses, and then bring one so they have one to open at grandma's house.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we've evolved, and my parents do the same.
Typical, I think.
Yeah, my parents do the same thing with Alicia too. Like to hold back one gift that when we go to my parents' house, because we open gifts at my parents' house, and then we go to my grandma's house. So Christmas Day is a very busy day, and that I wanted to talk and get into like the stress thing again. Like when we talk, I just want to
bring that up again.
I wanted to bring it up just because, why wouldn't you want to be, it is stressful, the holiday, but why wouldn't you want to be stressful for your family? Even if they do annoy you, it's one of those things, I think people take, their relatives and stuff so much for granted, and our listeners know well enough, I get irritated too easily, so it's don't start with me. And,
whoa, see, there you go. It's going.
But see, even
seeing red just like that.
Even I'm able to, pull back the reins during Christmas or Thanksgiving and say, well, I don't know if they're gonna be here, next Christmas or next holiday. You know what I mean? But that to get people and to give them a perspective, I think that's the way you should, because if they're gone,
I think it's a little extreme, but I get what you're saying.
But it's the only way to get through people's heads that you should be married.
That's like that
during
old
the holidays.
Parent thing. You better be nice because you don't know if they'll be here next year.
Damn right.
Did that actually
No, it's just that's the way I think.
I don't care if your uncle smells that way. You go give him a hug because he may not be here at Christmas. Is that what you're dealing with?
No, I'm not dealing with.
I feel like that's what happens with my family. Because I smell like cigars. So I might be projecting. Oh, that's you too, Nate.
Jess does that to me.
His wife does that, not his parent. His wife. Wow.
When your auntie sends the fluffy bunny outfit that she made.
Never had that.
You don't want to put it on.
Yeah, I mean that's. Yeah. See what you did there.
Christmas Story.
Yeah, no. I feel like most people knew what you were talking about. I get what you're saying. I think the overall point is that with any holiday, I think Christmas is the end of the year. As far as the calendar, there is a lot of sacred side of it that has been lost a bit. Part of the tradition I used to be a part of was we'd go to the Christmas Eve service, and I used to really when I was religious, I would really enjoy that service. I'd go to church every Sunday, but that was one that I'd love to go to. Now, when I was a kid and we were going to the, back in LaGrange, Chicago suburb, we'd go to St. John's and it'd be the 11 o'clock service, and I was 13 years old or whatever, we're visiting. Well, 11 o'clock there is midnight here because of the time change, and I'm just trying not to pass out. I didn't want to get dressed at 10 o'clock. So again, as a kid, you're not up that late typically, so it's now you got to get dressed. Yeah. And at Eastern Standard Time, it's about 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You just, drove there the day before, and now you're going to a Christmas Eve service that's super beautiful, but then it gets dark in the sanctuary. You're already tired. All you want to do is go to bed.
It's setting the mood for you, isn't it?
Setting the mood for,
sleep.
Yeah. So Lucky says midnight mass is beautiful. Well, we were Lutheran, it wasn't mass, but I agree. As I got older, I loved going to the candlelight service. I thought it was so beautiful. You have the Christmas hymns, you have all that. Everyone seems to be in a good mood. So you see people that, you haven't seen, what I used to call, and I think it's the thing, the Christmas, the CE Christians.
Is Kylie high?
Kylie might be high. He said Christmas service. I thought he said Christmas circus. So if you want to bring up the Christmas circus, I think that's another good tradition with all the animals and clowns.
I'm at a loss for words on that one.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I have no idea. I was just trying to go with it.
Is this elephants dressed as Santa?
No, definitely not.
No,
I just
wrong route. Okay.
You said service.
I know. That's what she said. And then she said, I thought he said...
That was a really bad joke.
Circus.
If that was a joke. That was poor.
Well,
poorly
speaking
edited.
of Christmas service...
circus.
Service.
Right.
Circus service.
Animals. There are animals at the Nativity.
Okay. But, so this is actually my dad's first Christmas Eve service that he's done since he's taken over the church at the beginning of the year. So he's actually really excited about it. I'm pretty excited for him too. I won't get to be there for it, but he, when I talked to him on the phone, he's pretty excited about it. And it's the first time that this particular church that he's at has actually done one in quite a while.
When was the last time that he did a service? Wasn't he a pastor before? No.
No. So he didn't actually become the technical minister of this church until December 31st of 2017.
Okay.
So this will be his first Christmas service that he's actually led and put together and everything.
Nice.
And the first one at this church that they've had, I don't know how long, but quite a while. Apparently.
Wow, that's really neat.
So, yeah, it's really fun. And just like you said, I went to a lot of them growing up too. And it was always 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And, in teenage years, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to go. But then, you get there and you kind of the older you get, it really is, it's a different kind of feeling.
My family
it's really
always, it's interesting, we put Easter above Christmas. Easter was the time that all the relatives would go to our grandparents' service.
Interesting.
On Easter. And I don't know if that was just because it was during the actual day instead of being Christmas Eve or not. So I don't know, but
I mean, they're both big days, obviously, as far as the Christian significance.
For sure.
Yeah.
But
another tradition that we haven't really talked about that I know Alice, who's watching, commented is cookies.
Yeah, Christmas cookies.
I know Kathy does it every year with Cadence. And
she made a damn cake.
Yeah, I know. She loves to bake.
It's awesome. I'm just saying.
It has nothing to do with her feelings for you. You're right. Gives her a fucking reason to bake something. You're right. Most importantly, she bakes something new. Oh, by the way, happy birthday.
She's still in the audience.
All right, asshole.
Don't talk to her like that.
I was talking to you.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
What do you do with the Christmas cookies?
So I've actually not had the tradition of like baking cookies with my family or my mom or any of that.
I haven't either.
But I know there are a lot of people that do, and they set a weekend day or an evening aside to do that. And I think that's also a fun tradition that a lot of people do to just kind of help bring people together, even if it is just the parents with the kids, or even if you do have other family members over, to just kind of get together, have food, bake cookies, decorate them, etc. And I think that's really cool. I know you said you didn't really do any of that.
So it's more the ladies in my family. So that was something that like my ex would do with my sister-in-law and my mom, and now my niece does it. I want to say Evan, my nephew, does it too, just because it's something to do with grandma, and they do that. And so
up in Chicago?
No, here. Yeah, so they do it typically at my mom's house, my parents' house. And then Donna, my sister-in-law's mom, is a part of it too. So it's something that typically, again, it's whatever, 2018, it's not right that the ladies
just
are
the
doing
woman
it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you said your nephew did it, so
yeah.
You win.
Typically.
My mom makes homemade caramels every year.
Oh, cool.
So she'll...
that really came off sarcastic, but that was not. That was.
I was gonna say it was super enthusiastic. I didn't even.
I think it sounded to me that it was sarcastic.
I heard it.
I just love like you lit up. You're like cool. Like you were in it.
Well, that's just interesting.
They'll have you over.
Caramels.
But see, there's a trick, and I hated it as a kid.
You put bourbon in them.
Jeez.
No.
Damn it.
That'd be great.
You could.
That would be great.
You could.
But if you ate them, you had to help wrap them.
Damn it.
So we would literally hand cut squares of wax paper that you would wrap them with. So my grandmother started. Yeah. So my grandmother started doing it, and then so my mom got the recipe. And she started doing it, and she would do it and put it in little containers. So instead of like cookies, she would sometimes do cookies, but she would do containers of caramels.
Yeah.
And so I'd take them, as a kid starting out of work or whatever. I'd take them to work for managers. Or I'd take them to school or friends or whatnot. And growing up, the older I got, I was like, yeah, I just won't eat them then. Then I don't have to help wrap them.
This is when you got older?
Yeah.
Like a teenager, or like you're talking like 20s?
Both.
I was gonna say.
And he hasn't done them since.
I actually haven't eaten them in years.
Really?
Well, you can't unless you help.
I miss going out
Those
and cutting down a tree. To be honest, that was like my favorite part about Christmas.
We never cut down trees.
Yeah,
we used to go and get a tree. So we get a live tree or a dead tree, but we go to like a.
Your father would go out and
Well, you know what I mean. It was like an actual tree. It's a real.
Negotiate tree prices.
I don't know. I mean, maybe back in the day it was.
They're like great blue spruce for you.
Yeah. Yeah. But what about down here? It's got a whole
shapes
bear
it,
spot. Like, no, you just put that in the corner. You know what I mean? It's like the rest of it's good. Like no one sees the back. It's like you're selling a car. You're absolutely right. It's a goddamn racket, and that's bullshit. So now everyone has like the fake trees. My brother has like 4 trees in the house. One of them is a full blown, like just all Star Wars. All Star Wars, absolutely.
I do miss doing that though. Like we always. Well, I think it was because I was adamant about it because I wanted it to be traditional.
Cut down a tree.
Yeah, I just thought it was cool, like going out with your family and the dog and.
Or is it just you want to walk out into the woods with an axe?
Were you on an axe property, or did you go to like a Christmas tree farm?
We went to a Christmas tree farm.
That's good.
But it was cool because it wasn't like a, columned and road and set out like tree farm. The tree farm out by us and, kind of Fairfield County and Pataskla area, and Kirkersville area.
Yeah.
It was like an actual forest farm. So that trees were just spread out in every which way. And you just picked out one, and it was kind of like it was like the classic like Christmas Vacation, like the lights come down from the heavens. You're like, that's the one. You know what I mean? At least that's how it was when I was a kid.
Where are you gonna put a tree like that? Bend over, I'll show you. I love that line.
But no,
that's like Audrey. She'll see it when her eyes are not frozen.
That's what I miss, and I don't know why, but maybe it's just me trying to remember it. But it seemed like when I was younger, we had snow in December like a lot more than we do now.
Yeah,
I agree because
I remember every Christmas
15 years ago you'd have snow from about middle of December all the way through.
Where do you have to bring up global warming?
I wasn't going to go with global warming, but now that you mention it,
Steve doesn't like that, Dustin.
Due to global warming,
Christmas is ruined.
shit.
Now we just get a fake tree. Fuck it.
Yeah.
No, so and I noticed this: the colder weather and snow tends to come after the first of the year.
I know.
January,
and then February we're screwed.
Yeah,
It changes
February is always cold.
February is always the harshest. Always.
Yeah, and then
It's
you
like
come
it
to March,
gets
you're like,
to,
all
like,
right, spring, and it's still 30 degrees outside.
Gets to Super Bowl and it's just like a foot.
That's right. That's why I play in a dome. That's why I play in a dome.
The thing that's why. Go ahead. Did Kylie fucking say something?
No, God. Yeah, she did.
Oh, that's
24 hours of a Christmas story, which I'm gonna on live Facebook. I've never watched Christmas Story all the way through.
On TV?
Definitely not TV.
So I had never seen Christmas Vacation.
That's a sin.
I think that is a sin.
So
Christmas Vacation is better than Christmas Story. I'm on record. Christmas Story, there's no.
You don't like it?
I've seen it a few times.
It's okay. It just
You're talking about a tradition. That's a tradition.
Christmas
For us.
Story?
Yeah. You gotta watch that on Christmas Eve.
no.
Yeah.
There's just so many better movies about Christmas.
What do you think about
Name something other than Christmas Vacation.
Die Hard.
I was gonna say.
I hate you
Santa
for that.
Claus?
I hate you.
Elf is a great. That is the
That does
classic.
not talk. No.
Absolutely.
No.
does.
No. Not a no.
You can't just keep saying no with no basis behind the no.
Why? No.
No,
Why?
No. I'm just fucking making noises over here.
No.
God damn it.
No. No.
Yeah, no, you got it. Are you stuck in a loop here?
No. You asked.
I will
Christmas
say
Vacation's better. Elf is better. Gremlins, Die Hard are both better. What else?
Santa Claus.
Oh, no, what am I thinking of? What's the one with Billy Bob?
Oh,
Bad Claus.
That's
Santa.
That's a great movie there.
You know what's a new great one I think was an instant classic? Have you watched the Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell?
Yes.
No, but it's supposed to be
I
really
love
good.
it.
That was the instant.
I
That's
love
an
it.
instant classic.
Love it.
Instant classic.
Yeah, it looks good.
It was great, honestly.
I thought it was really good. I watched it, and compared to a lot of the other Christmas movies that are on like Netflix, Hulu, stuff like that, they just don't have anything on there.
I like Four Christmases. You mentioned that earlier.
Four Christmases is amazing.
I think that's funny.
And no one, you're gonna give me shit. Polar Express, I think, is really
Yes,
I haven't
Polar
watched that
Express
one all the
is
way through
great.
either. I've not read the children's book either.
I haven't either, but the
Nightmare Before Christmas.
what amazes me, Polar Express, is the fact that it's all Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
I mean, there's almost every character in that movie
He's
is Tom
so
Hanks.
good though.
Yeah, he is. But
So
we're on the
True.
movie episode again.
No, I mean, it's all part of the tradition.
Tis the
I think
season
what else
to be
we
married.
want. That's my name.
Oh, is it?
No shit.
Well,
Come on,
Steve,
finish the line.
But you created a new Christmas tradition with you know you talked about the traditions that you've lost, right, with your family. But
Sure.
then your the cigar community and that cigar the family at the shop. You've created the Willet thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just something we did, yeah. So it's nice to be able to share that with people that haven't had it or, entering into the season.
And for those that don't know, the reason why we love it is because it tastes. I mean, you've heard
It's like Christmas.
It tastes like Christmas.
Yeah.
There's ginger snaps and
It really does.
yeah.
We used to go, I mean, there's so many things you do over the years that are traditions, whether they're long term or even with your friends. You have a close group of friends, and high school, laughter, all that stuff. I mean, there's things you do. I mean,
My mom likes the
Yeah.
cartoon Rudolph. She's
And you've
always
got all
loved that one.
the
is that allowed to be shown these days?
the clay ones.
Oh shit! I forgot about that.
Yeah, ban Rudolph because
The original one.
Because he's oppressed. Is that the issue?
He's bullied. Yeah. Never mind.
It's cold outside.
Baby, it's cold outside. That whole thing.
Can we hear like the?
There's two kinds of people in the world: people who think Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and then people who are wrong. So we had this discussion. That was from Kylie. We had this discussion in the shop, and
Pretty sure
Ron.
I don't like her.
That's fine. Are we crossed?
Yeah.
Should I not? Should I hate her?
Yeah.
That's it. I hate her.
Yeah. That's
Notice he's out of the no loop.
Yeah, thank God. No, so here's here's the thing. So Ron at the shop, he is totally against Die Hard being a Christmas movie.
So am I.
All right. So, what constitutes a movie to be a Christmas movie?
For our listeners, I think they should leave a response. That's a great question.
Kylie says she is not high. Good. But the thing is that, so this is where I was surprised. Ron says Die Hard's not a Christmas movie, and he is very adamant about that. But he thinks Home Alone is a Christmas movie.
I disagree. Yeah.
You don't think Home Alone is a Christmas movie?
I don't.
Okay. So what is a Christmas movie? Because Die Hard takes place at Christmas. He's at the tower because of a holiday party, a Christmas party. There's Christmas trees everywhere. It takes place at that time of the year. They have Christmas music playing, and it's all about family coming together and killing a terrorists.
I don't know about that last part.
Family coming together?
Yeah.
They're in a strange marriage. You know, he doesn't know how to be around it, but he's there. And good thing that John McClane was there because
don't they have
there were a bunch
of
yeah.
And they're not there.
Well, no, because it's a work party. I mean, he had a big puppy or a bear?
Now you're on their heels and.
No, I'm not.
It.
I'm actually saying that it's absolutely a Christmas movie, much like Gremlins.
If this episode is not going anywhere.
Christmas, so it happens at Christmas. Technically, that's a Christmas movie. Thank you, Diana. I'm saying that Gremlins, that Mogwai would have never been delivered to Billy if it wasn't a Christmas present. I'm telling you right now. So the whole Gremlins epidemic could have been avoided if it wasn't for Christmas. Therefore, a Christmas movie. You're laughing because you finally see the light.
Dude, Mogwais.
Then you got the Miracle on 3rd and 4th Street.
Well, that's clearly a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Duh.
That's good.
Nailed it.
We want to start with closing remarks.
I don't know.
I'm going to just because.
You're in it.
I think we're in it, and I think we've gotten to that point because this has been we've ran along with a lot of stuff in just an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I just stopped smoking that off. That thing lasted forever.
It's it's well constructed.
For sure. Mm-hmm. So thank you, Tinder Box at Easton.
Very much so.
I think when we're talking about 'tis the season to be married, it needs. I think people need to be jolly about it. They need to be cheerful about it. They need to be what?
Nate said worst Christmas movie is Jingle All the Way. It's not a good one, but it's not the worst.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. And Sinbad.
That's right. I forgot he was.
There's no way.
Debatably,
There's no way.
Top 10 actor of ours or any previous generation.
Pulp Fiction is not a Christmas movie. No way.
I love the fact that this is upsetting Jake.
No way.
Of all these movies. Does it have to have Christmas in it?
Is Kyla going to be the new Ray Cheshire?
It gotta be, yeah. Apparently Ray's all wifed up now in
She
Vietnam.
starts getting pissed about weapons. Hope you're listening to this, Ray.
Weapons and college tuition.
Who else out there can name a movie that will upset Jake? Or A Bug's Life? I don't.
Now she's just being stupid.
I don't think I've seen that.
A Bug's Life?
Yeah.
You're not that old.
I am actually that old. I've seen parts of it. I don't think I've seen it the whole way through.
That's kind of me with Gremlins.
Wait.
I've never seen Gremlins.
Oh. So how can you say it's not a Christmas movie?
I never did.
All right.
I didn't either.
Have you seen Die Hard?
Yeah.
The whole way through?
Yeah.
Like start to finish?
All
the Christmas
all
parts?
4 of them.
I'm getting angry.
Is there 5 now? Yeah, I lost track. It's like Harry Potter.
It's not like Harry Potter. There's no wizards.
No, but it's a long series that no one cares about.
I thought it was pretty good.
Wow. That is offensive, sir. And I would like for you to retract that statement. I'm going to edit that out for your sake from the podcast.
I bet Kathy's over there what the heck? Is this really how
She's
these days go?
She's heard it, yeah.
They're not even talking about Christmas. What the hell?
We were talking about Die Hard, so clearly.
For sure.
Diana also loves
And A Bug's Life.
Who's Diana?
She's my cousin.
Yeah. Way to go, Diana. Someone got the good blood in that family.
Closing remarks?
Die Hard.
No.
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 What's our second cigar that we're smoking?
No.
I'm gonna light up an Onyx.
Yeah.
Broadleaf on the outside of that one. Very dark cigar, medium body.
I know, I can't believe it, really.
Which?
That it's medium body.
Oh.
Yeah, that just goes to show it doesn't matter what the wrapper is.
Yeah.
Cigar. You can put a dark wrapper on a cigar and still be a medium-bodied cigar.
It's a very intimidating cigar.
It is. Well, because popular conception is you see a dark wrapped cigar and you think, oh, that's going to be full, strong, I don't want that. And it kind of steers you away, but it's really not.
And see, that's going back to what we were talking about. I think that is exactly what you could do. No, that you can have a plot like a wrapper that's very deceiving because it's about saving the day with terrorists.
How did you
and at the same time
conceptualize that?
What gives let me finish.
It's about I'm calling bullshit.
No, it's about the filler. You know, the inside is what counts, and that's where it's all about taking care of the ones you love around the holidays, like John McLean and his.
So does he only do it around the holidays?
Well, clearly no. If you watch the rest of the series, like it's all the time. But that's why the other diehards are not Christmas movies.
The second one.
Although the second one is too, because it takes place at Christmas again, and it's the winter, but it's in an airport. Much like the cigar, it's about what's inside that counts. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. 'Tis the season to be merry. Kiss my ass, kiss his ass.
Yeah.
Happy Hanukkah.
And that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm leaving this episode of that.
I like Love Actually. That's a good Christmas movie too.
No way.
You don't like the movie, or you
I
don't
don't
think
like
it's
the
Christmas?
movie.
Oh.
What's the new one? I should watch like some other one that was like a love story and it's absolutely terrible. But it takes place during Christmas, so it must be a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Obviously. Any other time you probably wouldn't see it.
True.
I think for as far as
I'm done.
Closer.
I'm done for this episode. You guys can.
Jake's walking out right
Yeah,
now.
I'm good.
As far as closing remarks, I mean,
Yeah, fuck you guys, Merry Christmas.
I think the the biggest thing like with the holidays is just like I said earlier, you know, for me it's just spending the time with, you know, loved ones and friends. So
What?
you know, and enjoying that time and just using it to reflect on the past year, especially when it comes down to Christmas, because you are wrapping up the year
Yeah.
at that point. You know,
Just like
Thanksgiving.
the presents.
Sure.
What is it with you and metaphors tonight?
I think they're very fitting.
Right. But I think, you know, it's the presents and everything are great, but it's more of a time to just enjoy the time with your family. You're going to have the relatives that you don't like. That's why whiskey and wine and things
Who
like
don't
such
you like in your family?
Oh, on the spot.
Yeah,
Actually-
everyone keeps bringing it up. I'm
actually,
the person
I
that
don't.
people don't like, or I just don't get it because I didn't have that.
Or
You're
you just
not going to get why they don't like
Or you
you.
just don't give a shit.
Well,
I think it's all three.
And yeah.
that's fair.
To be honest, there isn't anyone in my family that I don't like that
Who doesn't like you?
I see at Christmas time.
How would you know?
I don't know. All right, go on.
No, that I know of. But that's the biggest point is, you know, it is stressful, extremely stressful when it comes to cooking, especially if you are one who takes on a lot or does a lot of traveling. It can be, but the point is to set that piece aside for that, you know, this one particular moment of, you know, enjoying the time with loved ones, because it is nice for you to see them, but at the same time, they want to see you just as much, I'm sure, unless they don't, in which case, hopefully they'll tell you. But that's basically it. And Die Hard.
Die Hard, yeah.
I need to watch it.
I know I said shut up, but I think like
You want to talk about Die Hard?
no, not at all. Nope. And Christmas. No, I think like to the season to be merry. I think you know we talked about like the stress, and I think that's what stresses people most about Christmas is that, or any of the other holidays for that matter,
Sure.
is that like getting the presents and like trying to be creative. Because let's face it, not everyone's like creative, especially if they're trying to figure out something to get their family members and they don't know what to get them, and even if like they think that they do, they're afraid that they're not going to like it.
That is difficult.
You know what I mean? And
my favorite line always when you open a present, they're like, "Oh, gift receipts inside if you don't like it, or like it doesn't fit, or whatever."
If it doesn't fit, I mean that's relative.
Yeah. But there's always that default person. Does anyone have that in their family where like literally you open it and they're like, gift receipts in there.
My grandma does
like,
it.
Okay, like I was gonna say thank you, but yeah, you're right. I'm gonna take it back because this sucks. Like,
my grandma does that.
Yeah. But that's like a stress. That's stress. Like
I think that's based on like the
like
fact that I've always been growing and we never know what size I am.
That's fair.
I'm either one size too big or one size too small.
I know that struggle.
But I think with the presents, it really just comes down to what you think that they're gonna like, and it comes from the heart. I mean, that's what Alicia and I do now. It's like we have one present that we know that they're gonna love, right? We give each other a list, almost like when you were a kid. At least when I was a kid, we'd get like the magazine and we'd circle the things that we liked and didn't touch the things that we didn't like, and maybe we'd get like a few of those. And that's Alicia and I do the same thing, and then we have one that we say that should be from the heart. It doesn't matter, and most of the time the one from the heart is the cheapest.
Right.
So it's not really a money thing, and that's what I like about it. The thing that upsets me about the whole stress thing and how people get stressed out about it. Yeah, you get stressed, but you should be able to look at the season and this time. You should be happy to go out and put the Christmas lights up. You should be happy to go and put the decorations up and get ready for the season. You should be happy to make cookies with your family. You should be happy to go to your grandparents or parents or aunt's house or uncle's house or in-laws. You should be happy to go cut down a tree and bring it to your house.
Or set up a fake one, whatever.
Or set up a fake one, and but we talk a lot about people focus on the negatives a lot, and I'm one that actually does, and this time of year I don't.
I like that.
So, I mean, just for our viewers and listeners, that just goes to show you that it can be done.
Jake can be happy for a month.
Yeah.
I'm
done.
It just takes till the end of the year.
Exactly. There's a lot of build up and a lot of red.
Like the hat.
That's why Christmas colors are red and green.
That's it. What's the green?
Go.
Oh. So.
You weren't expecting that one, asshole, were you?
So you're happy now?
Yeah, I am.
Good.
It's December.
Yeah, that's why you called me an asshole.
Exactly.
What? The holidays. Let me do this. So the holidays, I do like. I like a lot of holidays. We've talked about it. I remember like episode 2. We were talking about when our anniversary is going to be for the show. It's going to be like right before Valentine's Day, because that was our episode 2, and I was very, in my opinion, I was very pointed in the fact that you take a date on the calendar to make the most of it, and you realize that the majority of the year you don't give gifts to people. You don't, right? So we haven't really talked about that. Is that part of the gift giving, part of the tradition of all of these different holidays. To focus on Christmas is the fact that Three Kings brought gifts to Jesus, right? And that's part of the tradition, is that you give gifts to people you care about, and that's where all that's from. And I don't know when the last time you bought gifts or did something nice for the people in your family, but it is nice, whether you guys brought it up, whether you're annoyed by it, all that stuff, whether you're annoyed by the traditions, you're annoyed by certain people in the family, you don't know what to get them, and I don't like the gift card thing, but I mean it's a valid way to go about it. I mean, at least pick out. Don't give them a Visa gift card. At least pick out a hobby or a store that they like. So
or a restaurant. Even.
A restaurant. I would say this with one of the big core things that I don't like about the holidays, with Christmas and everything else is, and I'm probably gonna get some people very unhappy with. I think the whole Santa Claus thing is bullshit. I think the whole thing with Santa Claus is absolute bullshit. I think it's a problem with Christmas.
Very strong opinion.
It is. Right. All right, so let me lay it out here, because the big part of that, everything you guys are talking about is family, it's friends, it's bringing people. Who the hell is Santa Claus giving the good gifts to these kids? Why are we teaching these kids that the tradition is that some stranger flies all around the world, which, because I know this is explicit, it shouldn't show up on anyone that still believes in Santa Claus, and I'm sorry if anyone in the garage still believes in Santa Claus, but It's bullshit.
I'm gonna leave.
That's fine. Get out of here. Go celebrate. My whole thing is why don't you focus on family and friends giving the gifts? Why do we do that? Why do we actually have this random thing where you're flat out fucking lying to your kids about something that doesn't happen?
Because it's based on St. Nicholas.
Look up the tradition.
Didn't you give gifts?
To a small amount of people.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole point of Christmas was the fact
and then
that
the group got bigger.
Yeah. That was actually Jesus before St. Nicholas, by the way. I mean, if you want to actually go to that thing. But if you want it to be a valued holiday, in my opinion, is that I think that you actually need to focus on these gifts are from people that care about you.
I love Santa.
Like Douglas Lewis said, spoken like a guy without kids.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. I mean, I get that. I get what you're saying. Yeah, spoken like a guy.
And you don't want that kid to be the asshole that goes to school.
Yeah, but that's
Santa's not real.
That's a collective thing. I'm saying we are so ingrained. We're so down that rabbit hole that Santa is always going to be there, and you would be that asshole. Be like, you know what? Look, my kids. We got you presents because we care about you, and this is why we do it around the holidays. Instead, everyone is forced to deal with the Santa thing. And Doug, I get what you're saying. Spoken like a guy without kids. Yeah, you're forced with it. Because if you didn't have that tradition that was pushed on you, especially by Hallmark and all the movies we were talking about, that you wouldn't do the Santa Claus thing. You would actually focus on family and people that you care about. That's my opinion on it. And yeah, I don't have kids, which is fine. Some gifts are from Santa, some are from parents. Doug, you are a grown man, no gifts are from Santa. He did not buy those and he did not wrap those, you did. They're all from the parents.
I was devastated. The year that I found that Santa wasn't real, I was devastated.
First of all, St. Nicholas is dead.
Yeah, but
Do you know that?
Santa's not. Okay. It is a lot of fun. Doug, I know. I mean,
that's part of the
genuinely,
fun.
I think
Dude,
it's
I was genuinely devastated.
Genuinely, Doug, I think it's great. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you have, look, Jake's still traumatized by this whole Santa Claus.
Yeah, and you're bringing it back, you dick.
Why do you think he's still wearing the hat?
Commemorating. Think about that next time you speak.
Now, Doug Ruffalo's out there.
it.
Doug Ruffalo's out there. It is, I get it. None of mine were from Santa. Well, do you have any coal in your stocking? Because, Doug, we know you really well.
Burnt cigars.
Burnt cigars. I don't know. I just think maybe it's the fact that I don't have kids. I'm in my late 30s. I truly think that, I enjoy the holidays and Christmas because of the family side of it. I think it brings the best out of a lot of people, and some people that aren't happy during the holidays. They're obviously working on their own things, or they've had experiences. They don't believe in it, whatever it might be. But if this is the time of the year that everyone has a little bit bigger smile and everyone has a little bit more of a gracious heart and they reach out and help people, I think it's a great thing. And I don't think that Santa Claus, I don't think the stress of the holidays, having to do the traditions, make up your own, deal with your family traditions. If you don't have traditions, start enjoying the holiday and make your own. I think you can create new traditions, and I think doing stuff like this and having, like Thanksgiving, I look at that holiday, and a lot of people are doing the Friendsgiving thing. As you grow older and you get away from your family, I think you can start new traditions that
Especially
are very,
if
very
you can't get back
valuable.
to your family.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, with working retail, I do that all the time. I haven't spent a Thanksgiving with, my immediate family in I don't know how many years, just because I always schedule it to where I work on Thanksgiving Day, open to close.
Yeah.
Because then I use it as leverage to get time off around Christmas.
Did you see?
Doug just says the damn Easter bunny I hate. See, yeah. So I'm the asshole.
But I use
it. Santa.
I use it as leverage for for Christmas to get that time off, because that's most important, because we've transgressed to. We used to do Christmas Eve, my grandparents on my dad's side, Christmas Day, my grandma's on my mom's side.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of morphed to where me and both my brothers, we all work retail now. And so we all end up working Christmas Eve. And by the time we get off and get all the way home, it's 7:30, 8 o'clock, and everyone's already eaten, gifts are done, at that point. So we kind of collaborated, and we started doing Christmas at my dad's house. And so, both sides of my grandparents, we just all kind of get together and do middle of the day, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, eat and then unwrap on Christmas Day. So, and it's worked out for that.
But I think the Friendsgiving is really really cool, really key.
You know, we've talked about a lot of stuff tonight. We've been all over the place, and we really appreciate everyone like tuning in if we're all good. But you know, we hope you enjoyed it, and sometimes this is what makes the best episode. So we really hope you enjoyed it, and we know it was all over the place, but I know I've enjoyed it, and I guess I would like to challenge the people, our listeners and our viewers, to actually, you know, like try to be merry this holiday season, where it's, you know, you try to go up and talk to that relative that you don't like, or you try to make that a new tradition that you may have lost one, and you want to start another that you may have not thought about. So
I have 3 things.
Yeah.
1, how does Santa get into a place without a chimney?
He makes one. It's called magic, Steve.
Did you watch Santa Claus?
All right,
yeah.
all right.
You're not understanding.
All right.
You can't even hear the bell ring.
2, I want to thank all the sponsors. Altadis
You just
USA.
interrupted me and started talking about Santa, and now we're talking about the freaking sponsors.
And 3, I just want to say that sometimes the holidays are about, even when you don't know how to. Even you started talking about your family, and I'm saying that sometimes when you don't know what to do for the holidays, and you know you don't know how to connect with those loved ones, sometimes you have to get on that plane, and you have to go visit, and you have to attend that work party, and you have to go there with the best intention. And sometimes you have to save everyone when there's terrorists that come into that building. And you have to put on your best tank top, your wife beater.
Click. We're done.
And you have to save the holiday.
You're gonna break a glass and it's gonna be over.
Good?
Cheers to Die Hard.
Nope.
Dustin?
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Merry Christmas. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight.
Cheers.
Thank you,
Cheers,
Tinder Box
everyone.
at Easton, BS Cigar Company, and Altadis Cigars. Enjoy.